Good night, Barbados. Good night, Caribbean. Good night, the world. This is the Marcia Week Show, and we are coming to you live from Barbados. Beautiful Barbados. We are excited to be alive, excited tonight for the great things that are happening all over and we also ready to share with you some of just what's happening in the government of Barbados because we are ready for a change of government. Anybody out there ready for a change of government? Like everywhere I go, people are they're disappointed. People are changing their minds. People are saying, what did I do? There's so much regret on the streets of Barbados. In many homes tonight, there's just so much regret that is happening. We are ready. Please, 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 please. Let everybody who needs to be getting their act together, let them know we're ready. We are ready for a change of government. And I have some good news to report tonight because, people have been sending me messages all week. Good night, everybody. It's so good to see you all. I have some good news to report. And let me get my phone here so that I get it right. I get it right. And listen, there are some people who, I'm just going to tell you as it is. Tonight, the good news that I have heard tonight, I want to put it out there. And, you know, I heard that the leader of the opposition had a meeting of the constituency branch executive this evening, and that it was well attended, and more details to follow. And I know that you might not hear that in the media, right? In your traditional media, you might not hear that because that's not what they wanted to hear. But what I wanted to notice tonight, though, is Mr. Thorne. Good evening. Before I even talk about you all and welcome everybody, hello. But I have to say welcome and hello to a few of you. Junie Rock was first to be on, and then I'm going to talk about what I admire about Ralph Thorne. Regardless of what you think about him crossing or joining the DLP or whatever, you must look at what is going on and look at what this man has accomplished since he's crossed the floor. Think about it. Think about it. I'm coming back to that. Sylvia Rock, good evening. Good evening, CG. CG, good evening. Oh, it was so good to see all of you all on Sunday. Guess what? We got to see each other Saturday and Sunday. Oh, my Lord. Lucinda Allen. Hey. Gelbiz, good evening, Gelbiz. Oh, wow. She says electricity went off in her area. Bajan boy, good evening. How are you? I feel like I missed you. Victoria's Queen, good evening. Loyal Daughter 66 says good evening. Loyal opposition, fall in line. Keep on keeping on. Change is upon us and we are not afraid. And actually that is what I'm looking in my phone to give you all a wonderful inspirational thing, and somebody sent me a plate of Jamaican akis. Look at it there. Look at it there. Oh Lord of mercy, and spoil my look, it's a plate. That's why I don't like to be in my phone. Look how they got me distracted now. But I was talking about loyal daughter. Agree with you to like and share. Like and share. Please like and share. This is a time that you do that. But there's a quote that I want to read to you. It says, it's by Mary Ann Radmacher. And it says, courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes courage is a quiet voice at the end of the day saying, I will try again tomorrow. And what I love about Mr. Thorne is that we're not hearing him shouting at people and quarreling and all of these things. The man is steadily working. He is steadily working. And I must say, when I heard the news today that they were having a meeting, I was saying, oh Lord, oh God, please, another meeting. What is going to happen at that meeting? But then I heard that it was a meeting of the constituency branch executive and that it was well attended. And that alone is good news, especially for people who are hoping for a change of government, whether it be by the DLP or it be a group of independents. The point is that we need to have strong opposition, don't we? Yes. And we need to have strong parties or strong independents, whatever it is, it needs to be strong. We will not survive with a one party state. This is not China. So news like this, I'm happy about. And Mr. Thorne's strength and his passion and his perseverance and his courage, I tell you that. I look on and I admire that. I really do. I really do. That's the hallmark of a leader. The man getting boulders thrown at him. You know what I mean? Patrick Green, I don't know where you fall, because you have all kinds of people who watch the show. But let's give Jack his jacket. Some people would have been in a corner hiding somewhere. But and the meeting was held at George Street. It wasn't held in an office somewhere. It wasn't held at a restaurant. It was held right there at George Street. And it was well attended. And this is a meeting of the constituency branch executive, and was, my understanding, was moderated and led and called for by the leader of the opposition. No, boy, I don't know. Some people wouldn't even bother want to go back down to that place. But this man has a made up mind, and that's the kind of leader that we want. Not somebody flip flopping, and shaky, but working hard, right, Rose? If you're in leadership, you know how it is. And to be a strong leader, you've got to keep it's almost like you've got to keep blinkers on and you keep moving. And I'm seeing progress. And that, I like that. I really, really like that. And I want to just encourage all of us who are, in your daily lives. There might be all kinds of obstacles coming at you. Some of you might want to start a business. Some people, you might plan to get married this year. Some people, you have your own personal goals, and for some reason, it feels like you're not accomplishing it. Every turn that you turn, something comes to hit you down, right? But this is. Let me read a little quote again. That I read, and this is what, when I read this quote, I think of Ralph Thorne, because I sometimes wonder, how does he feel, But it says, courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes courage is that quiet voice at the end of the day, at the end of a hard day. It's a hard day. Things just didn't go well. You called several places. Meetings didn't go well. They didn't, they turned you down. It might be jobs. You're going to job interviews. And it is at the end of the day. It's that quiet voice at the end of the day. That's what courage is. Saying, I will try again tomorrow. Yes? Are you courageous? Are you courageous? It didn't go well this time, but I'm going to try again tomorrow. And I want to personally just celebrate that in Mr. Thorne. How many of you heard him on Sunday? Did you get to? Some people might have been there in person watching. Did that man look like somebody that is battered to you, or been through anything? I was looking at him thinking, my Lord. Well, that is amazing. And I know I'm going to get a lot of, some of you going to curse me that I come on here and I talking about Ralph Thorne, but I'm inspired. That is true leadership. True leadership. And I'm very, very happy about that. All right. So that's the Bajan spirit. That's the Barbadian spirit. And we're going to sing all about that in our anthem coming up soon. So let me just say good night to St. Ches, Nigel Carrington. Good night. Rosalind says that she's empowered. Colin Clark. Cynthia Mon, good night. Just in time. Good night to the panel. Oh, my Lord. James Harding, how are you? Monica Ince. Michael Harewood, greetings, loyal opposition, Vernon Garnes. Oh Lord, Michael Gills, Llewellyn Eiffel, Tony Paris. Please like and share, everybody. Like and share. Tonight is an amazing night. Tonight is an amazing night, and we have courage. We are people of courage. We are people of courage. We are little Davids coming up against big Goliath. But we have courage. We're still going down to the brook and getting our 5 stones. Yeah? We're still going down to the brook and we're getting our 5 stones and we go pull it together. And when we take our wood right in the center, it's going to go. Right in the center, it's going to go because, listen, we are very, very serious about changing this government. Very serious about changing this government. Good night, everybody. Well, let's go right into our national anthem. Let's go right into our national anthem. I know that this is our theme song, really. And this is the kind of courage. When you listen to this, you get courage, don't you? Yes. You get courage. So let's go right into the anthem. Yes. Oh my God. Great Barbados, great Barbados, great Barbados. We are courageous people. We are courageous people. We do not take no for an answer. We are courageous people. This is who we are. Courageous people. People, we are fighters. We're not going to just take no for an answer. Yeah? Oh my God. Let me tell you something, guys. This is great. It is a great, great thing tonight. And welcome to everybody who is logging on. We're looking forward to a fantastic show tonight. Welcome. And I'm hearing here from, let's see here, who else is on? Kali B is on, Mystic Angel, Ramim is on, Simply Patriot is on. Wow. Cami Holder has some information. If Cami can send it to me. There's a man in Malawi who has been convicted of insulting President Lazarus Chakwera by posting a TikTok video showing an animated figure with Chakwera's face superimposed on it, doing some quirky dance moves, and he has been convicted. Do you see what we are talking about with the cybercrime bill? Do you all see what that is all about? This is he insulted them. He said he was insulted, and this is what we have seen happen in quite a number of countries, actually. And so it's been used, the cybercrime bill being used by several countries to to quell the opposition, to ensure that there's no opposition. Isn't that something? Yeah. Wow. Thank you, Mr. Holder. If you can send me anything on that so we can actually put it up as a proof of what you're saying. Wow, but I don't doubt it at all. My goodness. Yes. Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Guys, this is a good time to like and to share. How many likes do we have? Do I need to go on like Mr. Franklin and check? How many likes do we have? Okay, Galvis is saying our electricity is back. Now, can I just say something on this? That this is so unusual for us because, I remember one of the things about Barbados is that we hardly had power outages here in Barbados. You know that that's very, very rare. And now power outages, it's like, wow. Errol Calendar is watching from Connecticut. Yes. Let's take this up to 1,000 likes tonight. 1,000 likes. All kinds of disparaging remarks are being said about us, but we've been mentioned all of this weekend into today. They are mentioning things that happened at Hastings Rock and at the Marcia Week show, and all kinds of things that's happening in Parliament, where we've been called names again in Parliament. Oh my goodness, I think we're doing something right. It's wonderful. We're doing something right, and people are listening and they're tuning in. Yes, Noel is in America. Good evening, Angel Humble. Yeah, but she could ridicule him as much as possible. The point is that everybody, Ralph Thorne carries that Barbadian spirit. And that Barbadian spirit is one that is tenacious, is one that is strong, it's a very lots of fortitude. That's a real man. A real man, no half a man. That man take a blow and keep going like nothing. Not thin skin. Some people would be in a hole. I tell you today, would be in a hole somewhere. Not him. That man was on that stage at Christchurch. I forget the name of the place though, right? And that man was in Jamaica. We say kicking dust. That man was speaking till he was wet. He had no fear in him, and as he said, he was coming from church and fired up. Listen, yeah, that doesn't we got to stay focused. Yes, Angela, keep your eyes on the goal and move forward, and that's the lesson I want for all of us of the loyal opposition. Don't let them put you off track. We want a change of government. Let us keep our eyes on that. Keep our eyes and ask yourself, what can I do to make sure that we have a change of government? What can I do? Not Marcia Weeks, not Calvin, Mr. Franklin, not Ferdinand Nichols, not Ralph Thorne, not this other. Look back at yourself and say, well, I'm a Barbadian. What can I do? Right? What can I do? And that is a question. Some of us come on here, and this is why I said, don't get distracted. Don't let us engage in friendly fires. Don't get engaged in friendly fires. Man, keep your mind, your eye on the prize. Be like Ralph Thorne. Be like Ralph Thorne. I can guarantee you, if there were some other people in opposition, listen, they would not know what to do with themselves right now in all of this going on. This man, cool as a cucumber, and moving forward, I'm sure there are times when he might feel a little down and I feel like, why am I, but I just admire that strength. And it makes me support him even more. It makes me support him even more. And look at this picture on here. And yeah, I'm gonna take some time to talk about this because you're talking about courage. You're talking about courage. This is what he's doing right now. This man had a meeting this evening at the DLP headquarters with the branch executives. Huh? In the midst of all that's going on, you would think that he would not be doing it. He would somewhere be in a corner with all the stuff that's coming out daily. No, this is what he's doing. This is what he's doing. This is what he's doing. That's a leader. You hear me tell you? If there is a leader, that's a leader. And my husband and I have been watching, and we are really impressed. Very impressed. Very impressive. If never before, I'm telling you, I see a leader here, and you ask me all you all want. It will never change. It's not changing me. I stay in focus like Ralph Thorne. Anybody else out there focus like Ralph Thorne? If that's you, let me see thumbs up. If you focus like Ralph Thorne and we taking back this government, you ready to take back this government? Let me see the thumbs up. Huh? Yes, you heard him on Sunday. Yeah, he's a champion in action. Correcto. Yes. I know there are some people that all you want is bad news. You said you want change, but all you want is bad news. You don't want to hear no good news at all. Just bad news. It can't work like that. We gotta also have solutions, and that's what happened. Yeah. Yes, folks. Let me see. Oh, jeez. You guys are something else. Edmund Hinkson's debating partner spent considerable time on Mr. Thorne and the cybercrime bill when he spoke on Sunday. They are so watching. They are so watching what is happening. They are focused, and that's what we need to be focused. Yeah. Yeah. So let me see. I'm going to put up those who are focused. They're focused like a Mr. Thorne. Who are they? Mimot, Mystic Angel, Juliette Giddens. Focused like a Ralph Thorne. Yes. Focus. Victory. Yes. Focus. This is a on focus. We're serious. Yes, we're serious. Yes. Serious. Yes, we focus. Focus like a Ralph Thorne. Yes. Finger red, number one. Yes, I love it. We're there. And I say to you the same way. Stay focused in the chat, guys. No friendly fires. We're not going to be fighting with anybody. We don't need to be fighting with anybody. People are free to have their own opinions and do what they want to do. Just don't come and insult anybody on here. Okay, don't insult, but share your thing. I know I see Mr. Glide Murray there, but I just want to take this moment to just to celebrate that. Yeah. Yes, Jeannie Motley, a man is measured by the fruit he bears. Mr. Thorne is bearing fruit. You're right. Yes. Wonderful. Wonderful. Nigel, yes, 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 yes. Focus, stay focused. Ah, Patrick Green says, it's a story of the eagle and the crow. The more the crow pick at the eagle, the higher the eagle it flies. Eventually, the crow have to give up because the crow can only fly as high as the eagle. Oh my goodness. I love that. I wish I could get an imagery of that. If anybody could find an imagery like that for me, can you send me? Look how many thumbs up Square 4 has. And I'm taking more of Mr. Thing's time, but I will give you back your time. I want to acknowledge these thumbs up. Mr. Glenn Murray, good night, good night,
Good
good
night to
night.
you.
Yeah, yes, 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 yes. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Yes, good night, Mr. Murray. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, and yourself? You seem to be on top of the world, all things considered.
Well, I'm taking a leaf out of Mr. Thorne's book. And I've been watching him over the last couple of weeks. And I'm a leader, so I try to put myself in his position. And I'm saying this man is as strong as a rock of Gibraltar. Well, to us, I'm sure in his quiet time, he probably but what he presents is so powerful. And I just wanted to celebrate that. And I don't know if you heard, but they had a well-attended meeting tonight at the George Street Auditorium, the executive branch, or they
Executive
made
Council.
yes, and
Uh-huh.
the branch yes. So I want to make sure I get the right
His branch or the Executive Council of the party,
it's a constituency branch executive, so of
or the
all the
Executive
branches.
of of Christchurch South Bend,
No, of all the branches.
or of all the branches. Okay, excellent.
All the branches in the party, and I think that
I
is
I I, I'm very impressed again, Mr. Ralph. I had never seen him in this mode before. Like I said, we came from similar neighborhoods, adjoining neighborhoods,
yes,
but he strikes me the way he's handled this whole um, mess. He's very calm,
yes,
focused, very methodical, step by step, and he's doing it in accordance with his thinking, his values. He's not reacting to any pressures or harassment. He's just a step by step and very mechanical. I think he's going to resolve this issue is going to be resolved overall sooner or later.
yes. I
Because I
think
think I think
so.
the other people are running out of options actually.
Yeah. But I don't even want to go into all of that. But I just wanted to acknowledge that because
Oh, good,
we're
excellent.
talking about strong leadership, and
Right.
that's what he's displaying. All right, so that's wonderful. That's really really wonderful. The Mr. Murray, you have something that you want to discuss with us tonight.
Yeah. As the headline says, did she really do it? Did she really do it? And that came out of that question, that basically rhetorical question came up. It refers to the appointment of Lesbians as the new Chief Justice. And the wording of that question and the context came out of reactions they got from many people when it had been announced. Uh,
Mm-hmm,
some people, some people had been incredulous before, couldn't believe it could be done. Um, because the truth is that of all the chief justices I've seen appointed over the years, I had never heard some of these names would come out in rumors and speculation before, but I've
mm-hmm,
never heard anyone so rightly and wrongly condemn
mm-hmm,
and disapprove and could not believe uh, as this one. That is why did she really do it? And at first I thought that maybe it would be done that would be public sentiment and respect for because this is a post that, but in all intents, one of the most prominent, one of the most influential, most important posts in the country, and it really should be a post where the post on the whole the post is you want that people look up to, people
mm-hmm,
revere, people treat with respect, and it represents the principles and the core values of the country, the Chief Justice.
mm-hmm,
But then, to those who were saying they didn't think it would be done, I said because of the underground lack of approval. I said, remember, I just remember the first set of awards that came out early in the Prime Minister's term of office. That may
Yes.
tell you something. But this question, uh, the reason the question, I asked this question because I asked, like I said, none has ever excited public disapproval as much as this one. And I've been watching them virtually from 1950s. But this one, I said, what is so special about this one that has happened this way? And then I said, I remembered a horse called, in literature called incitatus, INCITATUS, incitatus.
I
Horse
think
racing
we
fan.
probably can put up some of
Yeah,
the
put up
put
the
up
picture of incitatus.
yeah, so let's put up
Slide one.
mhm.
Incitatus, the Barbadian horse racing public especially would be familiar with that name because he was a champion horse in Barbados. And as a matter of fact, in 1997, he won the prestigious Silent Lane Gold Cup.
Mhm.
No, not number one, not slide number one, not
Yeah, so
number
we
two.
will put up, you want us to put up the actual horse. I want to
Yes,
hear
the
about
horse
this
first.
horse. So
Uh,
let's put up
that's
okay.
what that's what the horse incitatus. Let me
Listen,
tell
can
you a
I
bit.
just remind the people tonight that this young man that you see on here, he's 80 years young.
Oh,
Listen,
geez.
don't you want to be like him when you're 80? Oh my God, you rock, Mr. Murray. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you very much. Um, no, incitatus, and incitatus was not only a hit in Barbados. He even went on to Canada after a while, performed very well, and ended up being ended in the top grade of horse racing in North America. Having
Mm-hmm.
won, as after he won the Gold Cup, he went to Canada. But then there's much more. Incitatus is famous for.
Mm-hmm.
His name is a Latin name that means um, top flight. You have the right thing. If you can show the picture of show the other slide number two, then that should carry it.
Mm-hmm.
And can you read the text there for the viewing public?
Yes, I will. Incitatus, which is the first time I'm learning this word, thank you. A Latin pronunciation, incitatus, meaning swift or at a full gallop, was the favorite horse of Roman Emperor Caligula. Caligula?
Caligula.
Caligula,
Calig-
thank you.
Caligula.
Emperor
Right.
Caligula. Thank you,
Right.
teacher. According
No
to
problem.
legend, Caligula planned to make the horse a consul, although ancient sources are clear that this did not occur. Supposedly, Incitatus had 18 servants for himself. He lived in a marble stable, walked in a decorated harness decorated with rare and special stones. Let's just remove that banner right now. Um, Decorated with rare and special stones, jewels, and dressed in purple, the color of royalty, and ate from an ivory manger. Ooh, it's a special horse.
That's right. Um, to the extent that the Caligula had proposed to make him a senator. So the announcement, right? That announcement turned Rome in uproar. People thought, well, this man must be going mad. He never actually did because he was assassinated, but people thought because of his superb treatment he's given to a horse, it would have happened or it could have happened. But um, there's another school of thought which thinks through history that he did it really to show his contempt for the Senate. Because if my horse could be a senator, therefore there's not much value in the Senate in Rome. So they felt he was doing that to show his disdain, his contempt for the
Mhm.
Senate. So he never actually became a senator, but it has come over time to represent where people feel that it represents where it represents excessive behavior, going to extremes,
Ah.
irrational impracticals. So it's held as the symbol of excessive behavior.
Mhm.
So because it proposed to make a horse a senator. And
Mhm.
I really, the truth is that that is what and it's used as a metaphor. Metaphor represents certain hidden truths. You're a teacher, but a metaphor is represents a hidden truth, a moral represented in a form of words that make, but it does not actually happen in a literal fashion. So incitatus also has symbolically over time represent excessive, obnoxious, unbelievable, almost crazy behavior. So I really thought of incitatus when I thought that when I read about the appointment of the Chief Justice, Mr. Haynes, the Chief Justice. I know what I noted about the appointment. Normally, there's a pre announcement that Marcy Weeks will be appointed and be sworn in tomorrow, Wednesday or Friday at 6 o'clock or whatever. This time, we got a picture announcement that he had been sworn in. I thought that was interesting because it does not fit into part of how these major appointments are usually handled. So that caught my eye. And also, the truth is, I have not have any personal encounter with Mr. Haynes over the years. I might have met him once or come close when I was a minister in government. So therefore, my evaluation of his suitability for the high office of Chief Justice is based solely on my perception on him, his behavior, his words, his actions in public. And the truth is, I cannot recall anything. I know a lot about him as a lawyer, because he's been practicing 40 plus years, 44 years. So I would have heard about him, but I've never heard about him as being an outstanding lawyer. And there's been a tradition in Barbados where persons who occupy the post of Chief Justice are outstanding persons, intellectually, in demeanor, in representation, in presentation, in articulation. Those characters are meant to represent some of the finest qualities of the finest Barbados represented in one of the highest offices of the land. In my view, and I've never heard any outstanding pronouncements on his part, any outstanding way of doing law. But sorry, but my longest memory of him is his long association with the Motley families and Motley family's name and the law firm, etc. So that immediately raises questions of nepotism, cronyism, all part of the patronage of government and government's dispensing of patronage or whatnot. So I wondered what therefore we might have done that justify this high office. Not having been a star at the bar, the public bar, I thought, what could have done? So then I said, okay, let me evaluate the rest of his public profile. I remember him as deputy chair of the National Insurance Scheme of the then were no National Insurance Service. And in those days, when he was deputy chairman, and Minister Goodin Edgell was chairman. He was deputy chairman, and Minister Goodin Edgell then chairman Edgell had brought more attention, more involvement, more engagement with the public as to the going ons in NIS, etc. So once maybe it was unfortunate that Mr. Haynes came after and succeeded Mr. Goodnetzer, who he said began to open up the NIS scheme to public comment and scrutiny, etc. He was more engaged, like I said, regular meetings with the press and explaining things, etc. But once he took over, he went right back. He became almost unheard of. Yeah. He went right to the old cut. There was not much said about him at all. Yeah, as a matter of fact, when they had the issue with the future, trying to determine the future of the NIS, when it was in crisis, when they were announcing the increased contributions, the longer years of contribution and working before got that, right? And what had to be done, they tried it in the public education or public information, which to my mind came late after the fact. They'd already decided what they were going to do. The usual thing. He never really, as chairman, he never carried the message and the program. It was done by his deputy then, Rawdon Adams. I don't think he was not even Rawdon Adams became was the deputy. He carried the public discussion, education, answer questions at the town hall meetings and said around the country. So again, Mr. Haynes did not shine. And even in a major institution like that, I said, oh, let me look a little further. I look even further with, at the same time, I was chairman of the NISS as it is now. He did not even come to the public and make a grand announcement or pronouncement of NIS, etc. What it would change, what the change from scheme to service would mean. Because
Yes.
so far, all I've been able to detect is a change of it's your lifeline. It's now the NIS service is now a statutory board. What does that mean? We've had statutory board for donkeys years. So being a board in itself is not an accomplishment. What have they done? What they'll do? I have so far I've not detected any change in the culture, the practice, the tone of this new statutory board or this, or the new service. But he was also chairman at the time, and he probably would have to have given it with his new appointment of the Electoral and Boundaries Commission. Remember that? The Electoral and
Yes.
Boundaries Commission, and that was a fiasco under his leadership. You remember?
Yeah.
And remember that scandalous, disgraceful by the commission of publishing the whole electoral list of Barbados on the
Yes.
internet.
Yes.
You know, it made life very easy for hackers because all of our information is up there, so people don't have to go there, get the basic information, and they have a platform, they have a solid platform which to move on. And what was so disappointing is that he never came and apologized to the public for that. He tried to justify it. There was very little public engagement about it. It was, well, it's done, and they said publish, but publish in those when that law was published, there was no internet. There was no internet published in the newspaper or they had a printed document which you could either go online and say go to your public library or various, and it was published so that you can check your name or check somebody's name. But that was the publication by way on the internet. But worse was to come. Remember COVID, the election of 22, the election in 2022. Remember the election in 2022 when in the middle of COVID,
Yes.
and unnecessary when the prime minister came and told us that she could having been elected in 2018, the next scheduled time by the constitution would have been 2023. She had to bring it. She said she had to bring it early because she had some important decisions to make on behalf of the country, and she
Yes.
needed to get an affirmation to know the country behind her. So far, I'm still waiting to hear what those major decisions were, but the election were and and that was in the middle of COVID. We thought it was inappropriate. There was no imperative to have it at that time because of COVID. COVID alone should have reduced the need for it, given all the risks that it would involve to the public. It came, it was conducted, but the Electoral and Boundary Commission, unlike other bodies in other parts of the world and in the Caribbean, did not make any special provision for persons who might have been uh, suspected of having COVID at home. Those persons who were still entitled to vote, no arrangements were made to accommodate them under any special circumstances. I said it was done before and worked in other countries, so I don't understand why it was not even attempted by Barbados. Again, it was never fully explained. Um, it was never justified. But I was particularly noticeable because right now, the normal course of things from elections, probably back from 1951 when the right to vote, there are special provisions made on election days for persons who have disabilities, various problems, physical or eyesight, or they are accommodated. The electoral boundaries committee makes accommodation for a person who have differences, challenges, and disabilities, etc. So why could that not have been treated as another of your child and make a provision, a provision, provision for it? None of that was done. None of that was done, and I thought again that to me was a blot on the
Yes.
performance on of the commission and also under his chairmanship, right? Um, and so therefore I feel I like many people felt that it caught people by surprise, and it was not something that that was really caught the public's fancy and excited the public. Um, I can remember names of former Chief Justice. I think Sir Alan Storby. Um, there were Sir John, now Sir Alan Storby. Hold on a second. I have a couple of names written somewhere on my notes. Sir Alan Storby. No, Mr. John Storby, Sir Alan Collymore, Mr. Chief Justice Williams, um, Sir William Douglas. Even in all fairness to him, even to Sir David Simmons, I thought he was a pretty decent Chief Justice. To me, his behavior outside of Chief Justice has concerned me because I think he fell below his usual standard of public service because he was doing political jobs for the government, and therefore, even in as you would have seen most recently, his involvement and his presentation before of the cybercrime bill, which he was part of before the committee. I felt that he did not exemplify the kind of standards and public values that I'd seen very much of him over years, and I quite appreciated and had admired. So therefore, like I said, Barbados is badly in need of its institutions, most of its public institutions. There are a number of, there are about four public areas of life in Barbados. There's the executive, which is the cabinet and the government. There's the parliament, right? The parliamentary, House of Assembly, Senate. There's the administrative, which is the civil service. Then there's the judiciary. What worries me about this appointment and the approach to this appointment, I would love the selection committee, if it were possible, to give me an idea of what were the outstanding criteria that would have led to this that overshadowed everybody, that would lead to this appointment. And so far I've heard none. I've not heard anybody in public come over and sing his praises or whatever. So to me, it's still a big question mark. And it raises the question of how many more institutions this government is going to undermine. We've already attacked the integrity and the wholesomeness and the tradition and the professionalism of the public service by the contracts and by the contract, the appointments, etc. That's happening all over the service to the disadvantage of professional public servants by bringing in outsiders who have no idea, no knowledge, no appreciation. And let me say about coming from the private sector. If the private sector was such a wonderful, perfect vision and example of perfection and professionalism and efficiency and profitability, why do business? There are businesses that go to business every day. There are businesses, the institutions in the public sector, are in trouble financially, have problems that go to business. So being a private sector does not guarantee that you're going to be success. So going and picking people lock, stock, and barrel out of the private sector, implanting them in government in a totally alien culture. I see Caswell on the camera. Even there's one on the paper today about BRA. I understand that was led by a person who, I understand that they used to have every morning at 8 o'clock. They had a management meeting, senior management, every morning at 8 o'clock. A management meeting. Every morning, 5 days a week.
Yeah.
Does not make sense. But that is supposed to improve and supposed to increase the efficiency of the institution. But it has not. And therefore, I don't think there's anything magical in brain from person to private sector and impose them on government. But back to the public institution. I think that we have our last few chief justices have not been outstanding success, I thought.
Yes.
That's truly. And the one who just retired, he came too late.
Yeah.
He came late, but I thought it was ironic that he then complained. Certainly, he must have known what the retirement age was, would have discussed that before he took the appointment, and know his time was limited. Then you complain you didn't have enough time. If you didn't think it was enough time, which you should have known before, why take the job? And it is to be noted that the current, I went through all the profiles of one online about uh, no Chief Justice Haynes, and I can't find a mention of date of birth. Normally, when these people are appointed, they spoke about his 44 years or so, 40 or 44 years at the bar, but they didn't never mention the age. I understand he was 68 this year, which means he has a very not limited time, 3, 4 years before he retires. And then you have to start all over again. Why would you pick somebody? Why would you? Why? Because it was a selection committee that do it. But this appointment had been rumored from 2018 virtually. The government got it. In fact, as a matter of fact, it was once said that he would have been appointed Chief Justice before Sir Pat Shanahan. But the roles were reversed. But when are we going to get back to selecting persons who and neither Sir Pat Shanahan nor Mr. Haynes, Chief Justice, has any judicial experience actually sitting on the bench as a judge, being part of the system and have a better appreciation for the system, having worked in it for some time.
Yeah.
So to me, unless we do that and take them at the right age, where they've well qualified, well experienced, well and can add value to the judicial system, our systems are going to continue to decline. And what was once a pride and joy, we will have to have serious doubts. And when people have doubts about the judicial system, the country really is in serious trouble because they can't trust
trouble.
it.
That's what somebody is actually saying. Same
Right.
here. We are in deep shaving cream in Barbados. I see Caswell is on. Good night, Mr. Franklin. How are you doing?
Good night. I am well. I was just listening to Glenn and agreeing with 99% of the things he was saying. There was only one thing I disagreed with. And before I get there, I want to tell everybody thanks for having me, Marcia, and I'm so happy that I'm on the show again tonight. And good night to all the.
And we're happy to have you. We're happy to have you.
Yeah,
Welcome, Caswell.
Good night to all the people here who are listening. You know, but Glenn, there's one thing that Leslie Haynes did at National Insurance, and nobody at National Insurance will fault him for, is that when they transitioned this thing from a statutory board to a statutory board, because National Insurance was already a statutory board when they came into being in 1966, they
Right.
was a statutory board. The only thing was that Barrow decided that he don't want the board wasting time with personnel issues.
Right, I remember that.
So he made them public officers. He deemed them to be public officers in the National Insurance Act. So this exercise was to get the hands on the staff. And what they did, the part I'm telling you about they did with the staff, because some people in National Insurance, their staff, their salary went up by $6,000 a month.
Wow.
People who are working for $7,000 now making 13. You know, and some of them don't. I know the people I'm talking about, and they were not doing anything. Basically, what they were doing then, they ain't got nothing for them to do now, because we have a whole set of lawyers at National Insurance. There is no place for them there. The staff at National Insurance are the persons who are well qualified and they know the rules. National Insurance is not like insurance at Sagicor or whatever else. It is a specific national insurance and social security governed by its own set of legislation.
Right.
Unless you know that legislation, and I can tell you, there are people in there who know that legislation well, my brother included. And I used to know a lot of it too, because I worked there for a little bit, and that's why I go up before the committees at National Insurance.
So you're saying that people benefited by big raise increases?
Yeah, that was to bribe them to come over. A friend of mine, a schoolmate of mine, he had actually sent in his papers to retire, and when he saw that he's going to get $2,000 a month more for doing the same that he was doing, he went back and got his baby paper and said what he's back, so he can spend another 2 years. He was going home at 65. He said, like, what about my papers?
But Caswell, if national insurance was a serious business, you would have to justify that increase. That before that could be done, it would have to be justified on economic and financial, and what is the value that you're bringing and work to justify that kind of increase? You mean it seems though they're already begun to lick out the public's money
Oh,
that we
yes,
contribute, because that is our money.
because let me tell you
And
something,
they're licking it out.
these increases are unsustainable. They cannot continue to pay these kind of salaries at national insurance, and the fund remains healthy. As a matter of fact, coming up very shortly, there will be legislation to make sure that you get less pension for more contributions.
Wow.
They're changing the formula, and if you retire now, you will get more money, even if you with the same amount of contributions, than you will get when the change the formula comes sometime in July. They're planning to do that because the fund is in trouble and they have to save some money. Remember that $1.3 billion that the government got?
Wrote off, right?
The national insurance is still reeling from that, and they're spending the money like drunken sailors.
And they're not communicating with the public. We
They're
don't
not
know
telling them-
what is going
They're not
on.
telling them anything because they don't know what the hell they're doing. When you put Leslie here as a man who is, but he's a lawyer, but he's not known for anything else, and I'm not going to question his legal qualifications. He's been called to the bar, so he's a lawyer. That's as much as I can say for him. But he goes in national insurance, doesn't have a clue. And he presides over changing the national insurance according to what the IMF had dictated, because he said that this has to happen because the IMF mandated it.
Yes,
He said that
I remember that myself. I remember that, right?
They didn't do it because it was the right thing to do. He did it because NIS come here, and NIS is the governing body in Barbados right now.
The IMF, yeah.
The IMF, yeah.
Yeah, we are a colony state. We are colony now of the IMF. Their clients here, the IMF.
And then, but not too, he's now Chief Justice. And he claimed he was humbled and all kind of stuff and surprised by he can't be surprised when he knew ever since. Because I said on this show on more than one occasion, a person purported to be a member of his staff called me last year around June, July. Can't remember the exact date now. To work out how much severance they're going to get when he becomes Chief Justice, because he announced that ever since. And that is why I lost confidence in these selection committees, because this was the Prime Minister's selection ever since. And
but he himself said in the paper that this is and I noted very carefully, that this is being Chief Justice was something he was working on for the last couple of years. And when Beijing mean couple, they don't mean two. Last 2 years, it's a day. No, Beijing couple, if they're dancing, but when they say, if you got mangoes, so give me a couple of mangoes, he give Beijing 2 mangoes, offer 3 to be very upset. They need a few, several. So a couple of, and then he said, yeah, he was working on it. He was working on it for a couple of years. Unless you know it is there for you, how do you work on it to get it down the road? Nepotism, cronyism, patriarchy in the office of Chief Justice.
But that is why I'm so afraid now of the courts, because I shudder to think, because the Chief Justice has the right to come down from the Court of Appeal and hear cases at first instance. So when government got a case now, who can come down and hear it?
Yeah.
And I am very cautious and skeptical about that, because usually Chief Justice will come down and hear matters that have high import, things that got some good law in it,
Yeah.
Complex.
Yes, but I am surprised, and to tell you the truth, David Simmons did come down from the Court of Appeal and did cases at first instance, and he did a good job. I'm not going to say otherwise, because I actually know, but he did a good job in some of these cases. There's only one case that I didn't particularly like, but I'm not going to talk about that. I'll talk about another thing. It was a labor matter, and I was offended by it, but I didn't make a lot of noise at the time.
But I did say he had a good record as Chief Justice and whatnot. Again, has been sullied in recent developments. So I have to be fair to him.
But when he first became Chief Justice, they were crying out that he was political and all kind of stuff, and he was not going to do a good job. So I suspect and I believe that he went over backward to do a good job to prove them wrong, and he did some good work. Some of his same critics came back and said, "Oh yeah, he did a good job," you know, and they even wanted him to get the extra 2 years that he didn't get because Martin Gibson got the job and come in there, and he was less than. Let me just say he was less than stellar. I would not go.
Oh yeah.
That's
Another thing. Yeah, don't push that too far.
You know, it was less than stellar, and
but we have to recover. We are a recovery of the judiciary system. We need a recovery in the judicial system.
You know,
right?
So, but right now, I am. You see, the problem is that when you have a spoiled child leading the country, you know, people say he's a spoiled child.
Yeah.
And you know that bears in term.
A spoiled child, yeah.
Yeah, we say that in Jamaica too.
Good.
Who get the way, and this is all spoiled child appointments. She get her people. Same thing happened at Bra. She get her people. You know.
I mean that's a disgrace.
It is a total disgrace.
But we're sorry to interrupt, Kaz. I know I got you on that time. Where is the board? Who is on the board of Bra? I'd like to be able to find out somebody.
Before you go, hold a minute. Let's hold it. We're going all over the place. There's some things we've advertised that we have to talk about.
Okay.
And we'll talk about them. Bra, of course, is one of them at the time when I put
Cold breezes.
The thing. I didn't have Bra, but you know we're going to talk about Bra. But before we touch Bra, Mr. Franklin, I told you that I had gotten a letter from one of the loyal opposition, and the letter was from the welfare department. And
yes, I got it.
You remember? I told you about that. And she gave it to me on Saturday, and I told her I'm going to get it to Mr. Franklin. And the letter really is saying what we're seeing put on the all on social media. We had it up to deal with on Monday, but got distracted with many different things. Not distracted, we had so many things. So that's why I don't want us to run ahead. But a lot of welfare recipients, they have sent me stuff today and are concerned because they seem to feel that based on the contents of the letter that I've read, it would give that impression. And I'm going to turn off Mr. Murray's mic just until you're ready to speak, because there's a noise coming through. It gives the impression to a lot of welfare recipients that they must have a bank account, right? They need to have a digital Trident ID and a few other things, which says that they basically have they have to be digitized then before they can receive a check. One person said they went as far as say, well, if you don't have a bank account, we will arrange one for you. But the bottom line is that you can't get any checks. You can't get anything. You're not going to receive any welfare unless you have carried out these requirements. And I remember being on the show, Mr. Franklin, when the people were saying that we were talking, it was conspiracy theory that we were speaking of, when we were saying that the digital ID was linked to getting services. You remember us talking social services, Mr. Franklin?
Yes, I well remember that. I remember.
You remember that? And they came on and they said that this, it was we also had there was a clip of a newspaper item there where the Prime Minister said there were some services that you were not going to get. However, they were still telling the people that no, don't worry about it. You can get it has nothing to do with services. What are you talking about? Well, here it is in writing. Here it is in writing, and it would appear to me, I can be corrected by Mr. Franklin, because he knows these things better than I do. But it seems to me that somebody is telling lies. It seems that way. But over to you, Mr. Franklin.
You said somebody's telling lies. That's usually the cabinet. All right. They have this default position, they default to lying. And then only when they realize that, somebody can tell the truth and there wouldn't be no harm, then they might come back and tell the truth. But they always lie. You know, I am seeing, or sometimes they will say, oh, I don't have any authority to speak, and I talk to the Attorney General, and then you come out and make a statement and try to give people the impression that the article in the newspaper, we know what I'm talking about. Ben, in fact, it was absolutely correct. You know, but they're trying to say, oh, yes, money was paid out. I'm talking about the present money. And, you know, and then this minister came out. He said, at first he said he can't speak to it because he was had instructions that the Attorney General did it. He's not. Then he became Attorney General or something. I don't understand that. And then he started to speak on it because by then they would have been able to put their lives together, or they have truths, and then come to the public and say these things to convince people, rather than come out and say, look, we made a mistake. But the problem with that is that they make so many mistakes, it is difficult to own up, because it will be owned up every day. Right? But I have the document. I just speak to Marcia, and it was sent to me on a couple of occasions by people. I actually forwarded it to you too when I read it. The 40 must be vindicated over this whole thing, because remember he was speaking about this all the time and saying these things, and people were probably feeling that he was just going mad. Now we see who was the liar, and that liar was not 40. I hope he's listening. You know, because yes, he is. I just got a message here from him. He spoke about this is more so than anybody else. And now the government is saying to you that everything that Freddie said was true.
Correct.
You know, and look, a lot of these people don't go into the bank for anything simply because you get $200 from the welfare. You put your bank, go and take it off all. You have to close the account, because you realize that the welfare checks are not any grand prize or anything like that. You know, it's some meager donations that they give you, and people find it very difficult to exist. And I chose my words very quick. I said exist on that little bit of money, but they're going to put it on your bank account. Most welfare recipients don't have a bank account. 2, they're going to open one for you, and they're going to take care of the fees or whatever. The same way they're going to take care of the fees, the money that will pay the fees, give me a little bit more money that month, instead of, and then give me the check. Let me go to the post office or to the or the supermarket, because some supermarkets cash them for you.
Yes.
And once there's a government check from the welfare department, the post offices and the banks and the supermarkets, they cash them easily. Now you are saying to me that you're going to put it on your debit card. What debit card? You know, they are just treating poor people very badly. You remember just a couple of days ago, they got the people clothes and jumped in the garbage truck. But these are poor people. Welfare people are poor people too.
Yeah.
You know? So then the Prime Minister says that she don't pretend to know much about maths or English. She just pretend to care about people. The pretense is coming out.
Yeah. Somebody's saying here, which is true, because that it's saying here, let me be Lancashire says the news report on the radio said if the people did not have a bank account, they would create one with a bank to enable them to receive their payments. So you're telling me that they are going, and it's right here in their.
It's in the circular. It's in the letter.
Yeah, it's in the letter here. I think it's what the 3rd paragraph says. If, however, you require, and it's right here, require an account to benefit from the new payment system. So they're telling you this is the only way you can benefit. The welfare department will help you to acquire an account and debit card through a banking institution. So whether or not you want an account, in order for you to get this money, you're going to need a bank account, and they will do it for you. I'm turning up Mr. Murray's thing because there's this noise coming through. Yes, go ahead, Caswell.
Look, I don't know if the banks are going to arrange a special account for these people, but some banks, If your account falls below a certain amount of money, they start taking out $5 a month and wiping out the account eventually, because sometimes the people don't got much money. You think welfare recipients could afford to pay them kind of fees at the banks so that the bank will be able to cash them checks for them? It is too heart wrenching. $5 means something to a fellow who only getting for $300 or something every month coming on. You can't afford to give it back to the bank. What is the problem? I know that BRA, they had they determined this year when people try to register their file their returns, and if you choose receive a check, the thing went blank. You had to go back and you only when you put a credit union or a bank that the thing was accepted. So they're not telling you that you can't do it. They tell you can choose a check, but then when you try to choose the check, the system back down and you got to start all over again.
Oh, can you repeat that? Can you repeat that, Mr. Franklin?
Okay. What some people experience, you wanted, when you go to file your income tax return, and you're entitled to a refund, they say to you, you can get it by deposit your bank account or to your credit union or check. So you have to check one of those boxes. And when you check, when you click the box for check, you think went blank. You have to start back over. You try it again, it said check, it went blank again. Then the only way it didn't go blank is when you click bank account or credit union. So they are deceiving people and forcing people to do what they want. This is not government of the people for the people anymore. This is government of people who think that they're better than everybody else and they can do what they like.
Marcia, I want to support. I don't understand where the noise might be coming from. There's nothing around me that's creating noise, which you may be hearing.
Once you're quiet, there's a sound coming through. But go ahead, please.
But the point is that we are already dealing with a wider problem. This determination of the government to compel people to do everything digitally. They seem to have this in the same way they want to be first country where to go. Fully, what they call it, non-fossil fuel by 2030, which is impractical. They're doing the same. I don't understand what commitment they have made to somebody that they want to do these things first.
How about Glenn going to the first country in the world to have an embassy in the metaverse, whatever the hell that is?
Well, but that is part of the modern. I'm dealing with the practical people. Listen, what they have done is seek to destroy a part of the social life of Barbados. When people get these checks, like Carlos said, there was an informal arrangement at shopkeepers and shops, so you will cash it something even ahead of time so that people have something which to eat. So that was the arrangement. The police, sometimes the postman would collect checks from a number of neighbors, cash them. They will give it what they want, what the denomination, take them back to the older folk, and they can spend their money. Now they're not allowed to do that. They've cut down the number of postmen. It has disadvantage ordinary poor, ordinary or elderly people who go to the post offices and whatnot. They are now trying to make them in a system that not even like this in the first world country, or very few, maybe Sweden or one of those countries, but certainly not in the United States or England or whatever. What are they trying to put? I feel that, they say Churchill always look for the money. I believe there are people who are selling equipment and services to the government. If you provide digital cards, somebody else a manufacturer install and these people are making for it. And I think this is all part of the nepotism or the cronyism or the factors that go on where you're going for a thing because it is benefited people in Barbados financially. But it's wrong to the older people will eventually fade out and the younger people who are causing digitalization will take it in their stride. But there should be no haste which they're trying to do to push people into these digital things where there's some people have arthritis, can't hold a pencil, can't hold their card properly. How do they go and use their card?
No, on that line. Yeah. You can't remember the number.
Precisely.
You can't remember the PIN number. You go to the bank with that card and follow, but you get it in the little slot there. mind you, there's an effort to get it in this little slot too, and then you gotta let the thing cancel because you can't remember the number, and if you write it down, somebody can pick it up, and the grandson or somebody can pick it up and go and put that number, and you got.
Yeah. So what we have, I know Mr. Franklin has to talk about bra as well, and so we're gonna you know, just give you another a straight 15 minutes, Mr. Murray, and so Mr. Franklin can complete his presentation, and you can have, you know, you can come in at the end as we had planned and make your comments. I want to just allow Mr. Franklin to go ahead and to just make his presentation, because I know he has a lot to say about bra.
Marcia, will answer Glenn's question first. We asked who on the board, but I can't tell you who the people read off, but I'm going to tell you how it's supposed to be structured. The second schedule to the Barbados Revenue Authority Act 2014 number 1 says the board shall comprise of 9 directors as follows. A, 6 persons appointed by the minister by instrument and writing in accordance with paragraph 2, and B, ex officio, the commissioner, meaning the revenue commissioner, the director of finance and economic affairs, and 3, the chief technical officer in the Ministry of Transport and Works or his nominee. Then the minister shall appoint as directors 5 persons who appear to the minister to be qualified and experienced in economics, accounts, finance, tax, law, public administration, or business, or such other area as, in the opinion of the minister, is required for the discharge of the functions of the board. And B, a person nominated by the most representative organization of employees from among its membership. Right now, that person is Richard Green from NUPW. They got 70 or so, let people know. All right? That is not the most representative body. There would have been the most representative bodies up to sometime in late November, December last year. That honor now falls to Unity Workers Union, because right now we have 109. BW has 1 member.
Hold a minute, I'm writing. So take it in. So Unity has 109, and what?
And UPW has just about 70 now. There used to be 80, but some other people withdraw. Up to yesterday, one withdraw as well. So they got let's call them 75 because they've been dropping down from 80 all along. And BW has one person, not one group, one person. BW is recognized as a bargain agent. So too is NUPW. But Unity Workers Union, because it is headed by Caswell Franklin, there's a reluctance to allow us to do what the law says we must do. As a matter of fact, this act does not speak to recognition because there is no way. They are trying to assert that I don't have 50% plus 1. But no other union has ever had 50% plus 1 from 2014 till now. The reason being that two bodies cannot have 50% plus 1. Because 50% plus 1 by 2 would be 100% plus 2. And you can't have more than 100%. So if 2 unions were recognized, then it could never be 50% plus 1. Also, to be correct, Unity Workers Union, when we came over from BRA, from the legacy entities, as they call them, Licensing Authority, this is the NTW, you know, it's part of NTW, it's part of BRA, the Land Tax Department, Inland Revenue, they had people in Unity. In 2014, they had staff in Unity. And as a matter of fact, according to their own rules, that they were going to recognize everybody
Mm-hmm.
who the workers associate with, right? And it's put in their contracts. Unfortunately, for Unity, we had a lot of older people at Inland Revenue at the time, and they retired. So my numbers at Brow went down to 0. But then eventually, then because of the poor performance of the other representative body, workers then decided, well, let me try Caswell because nothing is happening over here.
Mm-hmm.
Because we have a situation where the general secretary of NUPW is on the board, and then he sits on the Human Resource Committee. So when people get fired, you know who fired them? Yes. So you can be representing them and firing them too.
Wow.
So that is what I told the staff when they said that I should make the application. And I did. I actually wrote the minister and pointed out that we are the most representative union.
Mm-hmm.
I told them I cannot serve on the board because I believe it would be a conflict of interest.
Mm-hmm.
And they can nominate somebody and I will make the recommendation. So somebody who they would be more comfortable with other than me. And we have identified such a person and we have communicated that to the government. But the government wrote back and said they've received the letter.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it. That's months ago. So far they have not done anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
Because NUPW has lost the status of the most representative organization of employees in accordance with the. So now that we have started to recruit people at Brown, we worked to them and we said, okay, good. They are insisting that we must have 50% plus one. Again, nobody has 50% plus one, or nobody ever had 50% plus one. But they want to do that for us because they want to make sure that we are excluded. But when they do that, they exclude a large proportion of their staff. As a matter of fact, from the numbers that I have today, 73 persons were away from work at BRA today, 73. Some of whom, all of our members didn't come up because some of them are acting and some of them are afraid. And people are worried. And then they also said that the strike didn't have any impact. Now, if the strike didn't have any impact, according to a release that they put out, they says media statement, we are aware that there is industrial action taking place. Throughout the day, we continue to serve the public with no disruption to our operations. The team at the Barbados Revenue Authority remains committed to ensuring service delivery. Now, they are asking the government to give them more staff. That's all we have. But if you can have 73 people off and you had no disruption, why do you want more staff? You know, that does not make sense. That is an absolute lie. Rather than tell the truth, because today, only one location at BRA open on time. The location that receive taxes, only one open on time. They were and I think that was the one in the Pine, Oystens, Holtown, and Bury Street Mall, all open late because they did not have anybody to open them. They didn't have enough staff. You had to then juggle around staff to get the place open. But yeah, still. And I didn't go downtown, but when the reporters came to see me at Warren's, one of them told me that he went into town and he saw the lines going through the door in Bridgetown. So if that is true, then there must have been something wrong. There must be some disruption. But they want to give the impression, but they lie. You see, the problem with them is that they lie to the Prime Minister and give the Prime Minister the impression that everything is well. But everything is not well. That or not, the staff will not be striking. They treat the junior staff very badly. Refuse to pay them when they work overtime. That's one aspect of it. And sometimes they're telling them, oh, but because they don't got any money in the vote for overtime. But you want people to work. So when these people work in the tax clinics and all kinds of wrong income tax filing time, they're going to get the money next year, just before the next set of income tax filing time, because there's nobody have any regard for the staff. Right? That's what's going to happen. You take something as long as a year to get your overtime money, right? We have instances where the people in accounts and customer service have not had the opportunity to go to lunch. As a matter of fact, the accountants are required to work either at their desk, because there must be 2 accountants there at all times, but there's only one. There must be 2 on duty. So that if one goes off, then you can have some person there. The accountant gotta stay there and eat at the desk. And people insist that they do because they only got 1 accountant. You move people who are accountants and put them to do other things because you want to punish them, right? And then also we get another instance where we have people that are working in customer service as cashiers, rather, and they replace them with temporary people who are recruited for 6 months and then discarded. Because, according to the Employment Rights Act, if you work for a year, then they can't just dismiss you. You have to have done something incorrectly, and then they have to hold a hearing to see if you go. So they make sure that they don't have anybody that can rely on the Employment Rights Act for protection. So they hire people and fire them in 6 months. But then this is now, as soon as the people start to get good at what they're doing, you bring somebody else. I start another batch for 6 months again. People want the jobs because jobs are very scarce in Barbados, so they go. And then that's why you have so much problems out there, right?
Yeah.
Now you have people who, all these grievances I'm talking about, people who working at BRA can do the work and are doing the work at a higher level. And then they're bringing people from KPMG, where the Revenue Commissioner came from, and put them in positions over these people. Then for the people who they just got promoted above or get appointed above, just come and teach them the work. You imagine you bring somebody new, don't know nothing about the thing, and I have to teach them, and then you become a supervisor. I advise the people in my unit, don't teach anybody anything. At least you don't teach your supervisors. They should be teaching you. But they have this thing for bringing people from KPMG. And I can digress a little bit to say we have to be careful with that, simply because I am told, and I'm going to ask the question, rather, are any of these people who used to work at KPMG and now come in there dealing with the accounts of their former clients who were at KPMG? And if their accounts have been settled or sorted out since these people came from KPMG, I want the Revenue Commissioner to answer that, because I have information that suggests that something like that has happened. So I want her to come up and say, Mr. Franklin, that is not true, so that I can give her the information that she said is not true.
Can you ask the question again, please?
I am asking the question. Are any of these people who came over from KPMG, who had clients doing their taxes, have any of them, those people who came over, interacted with their clients, their former clients, since they came back and had their account settled to their advantage, to the client's advantage? If that is going on, I think they must clear the air. You'll be surprised. You have some of these same people come in to work, and they're supervising cashiers. Cashiers decided that they're not coming to work. They can't hold on to a till and do it because they don't know what to do when they're senior. You're supervising people you don't and telling them to go and work, but you don't know what they're supposed to be doing. All of this madness is going on at BRA, as we speak, right? Customer service and the accountants have not had a staff meeting in 3 years. Mind you, Glenn was talking about people who come in the senior management team meeting every Monday. But you cannot meet with the people who are actually doing the work. Right? You can't meet with the people who are actually doing the work. Right now we have a matter that is pending before the Labor Department to go toward the Employment Rights Tribunal if it's not settled at Labor Department. We have auditors. The post of auditor, you have auditors 2, auditor, and then auditor 1. In the public service, you got something called bracketing. So if you are auditor 2 and your post is bracketed 1, it is basically one post. So let's say you have 50 of those posts. You can either have 50 ones, 52s, or any combination thereof to make 50. However, there's usually a qualifying bar to get from 1 to 2 in the public service.
Okay.
The qualifying bar in this case for the people at BRA is 5 years. So if you have 5 years, you go up. And people are there 10 years and they still remain as 2. While they bring people from outside and make them ones without having the years of experience or the training, because you do not get tax training. And this is what you do at BRA, because BRA's work is specific to BRA.
I understand exactly. It will be very different. You don't learn that as a CPA. You will have to be in the system and understand it.
So they are then bringing their friends and family and all other people around the place and disadvantaging the staff. They are so disrespectful because when the Labor Department tries to speak with them, they refuse. I had a case that took months before. Mind you, the Labor Department has 42 days. We took 6 months or more to get them to even acknowledge the Labor Department. They're disrespectful, even to other public officers who are just doing their jobs. Right? So when people see the staff out there, they're not out there because they're mad. And to tell you the truth, these people in there work very hard and they work for low salaries. And this is something that I'm going to raise right now, because if you are going to take national insurance out the system and give everybody an increase, the lowest person in national insurance got an increase of $300. Other people, as I told you, got as much as $6,000. Right? The increases range between $300 and $6,000. BRA gonna be looking for money too, because clerical officers, they don't call them clerical officers, but they call them admin assistants. But they don't. But they're clerical officers. That's what they do, clerical work. There's an increase of $300 for the people that do clerical work at National Insurance. So they're gonna be looking for increases too. So I just put them on notice for that. But we are not out there going ahead mad. We've written to them and we've pointed out what the law requires. And we've said to them, look, I'm just going to give you an idea.
Yeah.
Since March, we wrote this on the 16th of March, addressed the Revenue Commissioner.
Yes.
The letter, it says, I refer to your letter reference number 0488 dated 11th of March 2024, by which we were advised that the Barbados Revenue Authority, BRA, was unable to accede to Unity Workers Union's request to become a collective bargaining agent for its employees. The reasons for your decision is that UWU does not have sufficient membership to support our claim for recognition. It would appear that your decision betrays a fundamental misunderstanding of the Barbados Revenue Authority Act, BRA, particularly the second schedule, as well as the BRA's general terms and conditions of employment and its code of conduct and ethics. These 3 documents form part of a binding contract between BRA and its workers. As such, they are enforceable by the High Court, and we are prepared to also pursue that option. Your reasoning started with the false premise that there's a requirement for us to have a majority of your staff members, that is 50% plus one. You should note that from inception, there were two recognized unions at BRA, the National Union of Public Workers and the Barbados Workers Union. It is mathematically impossible for the said unions to each have more than 50%. Also, if you check the signature page of the terms and conditions, you will notice that it was signed by both of those unions because the terms and conditions that they brought in.
Right.
Paragraph 1 of the second schedule of the BRA Act outlines the composition of the board of directors. It is quite clearly stated that the most representative organization of employees is entitled to nominate a director. It would be an absurdity for a union to be the most representative organization of employees and therefore entitled to nominate a director, but the union does not recognize to bargain collectively for the same employees that it was appointed to represent on the board. The legislative inclusion of the most representative organization of employees in BRA as a minimum standard to nominate a director, a board director, displaces the customary standard of 50% plus one as a threshold for recognition. Therefore, your assertion pertaining to the sufficiency of our membership for recognition conflicts with the statutory policy of the BRA Act. Furthermore, UWU's right to be recognized by BRA is guaranteed by BRA's Code of Conduct and Ethics and its general terms and conditions of employment, both of which form part of our members' contract of employment. These documents not only include rights, duties, and obligations, but also BRA's obligation and responsibilities to its staff. The BRA Code of Conduct, under the heading Union Relations at page 70, states, the right of employees to freedom of association is respected. The board recognizes any trade union selected by the authority's employees to act as their bargaining agent, particularly with regard to the regulations and general terms of employment, in order to protect and advance the general welfare of employees, to secure prompt and fair disposition of employees' grievances, and to achieve the highest level of efficiency in the workplace. No employee will be restrained, coerced, or discriminated against in any way by virtue of membership of any recognized trade union or lawful activity conducted on behalf of that union. I pause there for a little bit. It says here, I'll go back. It says the right of employees to freedom of association is respected. The board recognizes any trade union selected by the authorities' employees to act on their behalf. Right? So it says recognizes any.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, Unity Workers Union is not any.
Any.
Right? It goes on, it says the importance of trade unions in articulating the rights of workers is recognized. Therefore, the organization will inform and entertain representation by trade unions relative to any initiative of the authorities that is likely to have an impact on its employees. Then the BRA terms and conditions of the general terms and conditions of employment under the heading Trade Union Rights and Functions at paragraph 14.4 states, the Barbados Revenue Authority recognizes the current registered trade unions and employees representatives organizations whose members are employed by the Barbados Revenue Authority. The Barbados Revenue Authority agrees to afford every reasonable assistance to the union to enable it to carry out legitimate functions of a union in accordance with the Trade Union Act and recognize union principles and practices. By these excerpts, BRA has given a contractual commitment to its staff that it will recognize the registered trade unions of their choosing. Neither document speaks to a 50% plus one threshold as the basis for recognition. In fact, a plain reading of the above excerpts connotes that a registered trade union is entitled to recognition by BRA if at least one of its members is employed by BRA.
Mm-hmm.
I make bold to say that these excerpts are clear and unambiguous representations of BRA's policy and practice regarding the recognition of registered trade unions. BRA's engagement with the National Public Workers and the Barbados Workers Union is indicative as such. The BRA recognizes the latter unions, yet neither has nor has ever had 50% plus one of the staff at BRA. And anyhow, I go on a little bit, read the whole thing. And it's saying Casper, Franklin, and John Secretary. We wrote that to them in March. They have not responded. This is March. So that is why, that is one of the reasons why we are out, because you're not being fair.
Right.
You engage us, and then when you find yourself stumped, you sit back and say nothing, hoping that we will go away. We will not go away.
Yes. Yes. You know, I'm telling you. Let me just bring in Mr. Murray. Mr. Murray, any thoughts or questions based on what?
I have a lot of thoughts on it. Give me, if you please forgive me. I feel very strongly about it because, as Casper was to tell you, I had the privilege of being Minister of State in the Prime Minister's office in charge of the public service for 9 years, assisting the Prime Minister, and all that Casper was talking about is horrifying. Nothing like this ever happened or could ever happen under our regime. And what is so appalling about this is that both of these ministries, both the Ministry of the Public Service and the Ministry of Finance, fall under the purview of the Prime Minister. Apart from that, people at BRA and in the government and some other agencies are going back to days prior to 1952 and the rights laid down by Grantley Adams and the former of the Barbados Workers in 1940 or 41. How do people appointed, supposed to represent government on the board, not respect the basic? Government is supposed to be the model employer, live by the rules better than anybody else. How do these people? That's why you want to know who was on the board. We say their names, because these must come from a different planet. How do you, as a Barbadian, roll back the hands of time, roll back people conditions, and treat fellow Barbadians like this unjustifiably? Where is the ministerial overview of the board? This board seems to be open to itself, take its own steps, accountable to nobody. And you can also have very right to stand and do not be distracted by the failures, the monumental failures. It's a disgusting how big failures the Barbados Workers Union and the NUPW have been in the public, particularly in the public sector, as though they never existed. Walking lockstep with the government. It's pathetic. It's a misnomer to call them a workers' union, workers' association, but they're an embarrassment to Barbados and the workers. And keep pressing on. And I have a document that looks. I am going to come back with it in a story to bring up to ask the union the Barbados Workers Union in particular some certain questions, because that is being bailed out by government to keep it alive. I'm confident, and I'll tell you why when they say so when they give you details of this document. So I'm saying, keep pressing and get the public before it's unethical, it's unfair, it's illegal, and nobody is doing anything about it. Just allow to do as they like. That is not the role of these boards or board of statutory boards or companies. They are responsible to the minister, to the ministry, to the government, to the public.
Yeah.
And it's quite disgusting.
Thank
What
you
we
so
have
much.
done.
DG is asking a question here, Mr. Franklin, so you can make the comment, but DG is asking your question.
Employment rights. Tribunal wouldn't deal with union recognition. You can take. I was about to answer that, to say that we are actually engaged with lawyers to take this matter to court. We have difficulty because the first set of lawyers that we asked, they said they don't want to do it because the judges are all BLP and all kind of stuff, and the lawyers are afraid and that kind of stuff. Now we have some who are not afraid, and we are speaking with them. As a matter of fact, only today, and we will, if they don't behave, we'll put them before the court, because these matters are so clear. You can't misinterpret these things. It's too easy. It's like misinterpreting midnight and midday. It is almost impossible. But they are choosing to do these things. And as Glenn said, and I think right now government has become like a slumlord, one of the worst employers in Barbados. And they seem not to care. The Employment Rights Act said that statutory boards are the Employment Rights Act apply to statutory boards. Brad dismissed people and don't want to come before the tribunal, refusing to come. They are then keeping people temporary for too long, because you cannot keep them that long and call them temporary officers, because under section 26 and 27 of the act, when you read the totals combined, if a person is employed on a contract and you have to renew the contract under the same terms and conditions if the person has been there for a year. Then you add up all the different contracts, you get 3 months, 3 months, 3 months, 3 months. If a year passes, then you have to, that person has to be treated as though they were permanently employed. And you then, and all the rights under the Employment Rights Act would come your way. When Brad discovered that, Brad started hiring people for 6 months and then firing them. Would not let them get a year. Government should not be doing this to its workers. You imagine now you work in an organization and then there's a clear vacancy, and you're doing well and people praising you for your job, and then 6 months come and they say, sorry, but you are going home, and you bring somebody else that got to train again, because they want to have absolute power over workers to keep them. That's one of the reasons why too we don't have more numbers, because we have 109, but others will join too, but they're afraid if they join that they will fire them in the 6 month period.
6 month period.
But yet still they're afraid, but they still fire them, even though they don't join. Because they want it is a lose-lose position for them. Government should not be doing that. And
somebody here saying that they were a temporary officer for 12 years. Yeah.
Well, I spoke about it on Sunday, where we have even temporary permanent secretaries. That sounds so stupid. You're temporary permanent. But government needs absolute control because of their incompetence. They need to keep people controlled, because the permanent secretary is supposed to tell the minister when the minister is going wrong.
Exactly.
But you dare do that and see what happens to you if your contract coming up.
So one of the things that you are planning to do, you're seeking to take them to court. That's
we prefer to settle these matters by negotiation and stuff, but they don't want to negotiate, and we're not going to sit down and wait forever. So that is why we took industrial action. That's why we took strike action. The strike didn't start today. Yesterday we're also on strike, and we had similar results, but we decided that we're going to let the public know, because they were pretending that all is well. They're good pretenders.
Yeah.
I just would like to wish you good luck with going to the court. How slow the system is, and I hope the new Chief Justice will activate the system and activate a new orientation and make so that these things are more receptive and that they're faster handling and processing of these things, and that you don't have to wait 4 or 5 years before the case actually comes before the court.
Klein, I would advise you not to hold your breath for that. I don't want to come to your funeral just yet.
I just wish you the best. It really is quite
Thanks, but
pathetic.
I don't want you to hold your breath waiting for these things, because I suspect these appointments that they do are deliberate to frustrate. I have a
Of
case
course
going
it
on.
is.
I went with my mom, it was Attorney General, you know, and I have not seen a judge yet. I'm not talking about when she was, I'm talking about she was Attorney General, then after took her down and made the Marshal Attorney General. Then the government changed it for 10 years. I know they're back for another 5 or 6. And I still haven't seen a judge yet. You know, so but I'm not holding my breath, because I'll be home with my Heavenly Father ever since. If I was holding my breath, just don't expect these people to do the decent thing or the right thing. And I outlined just now a whole set of conditions that no self-respecting public officer would endure. But when you have people put in statutory boards, and you have boards that do not understand that they must act fairly, this is what happens. Now, if these had remained public officers, in order to deal with these, you have to go through a commission. And then the commissions would set up a panel to hear your matter. No, Brad, just get rid of you. We had a situation where the person who was responsible for the IT come from vacation and got let us say he's made redundant. And
But Caswell, what happened to Situ Sab? There used to be in my time in the ministry, there used to be a subcommittee of Situ Sab which met monthly to deal with minor issues that before they escalated to national issues. Does that committee system still exist, or does it function, or that's gone the way of the dodo because of the amalgamation of the unions with the government? That used to be a clean house.
That has
for
gone
these.
the way of the dodo.
Gee, God help us! It's horrendous. The system really is falling apart. It really is collapsing inward.
And that is because the Prime Minister has decided, from in opposition, she is going to get involved with the unions, tell them what they want to hear, make friends with them, so that now she and them are friends. So when things happen, nobody wants to stand and tell the Prime Minister that she's doing nonsense. And that is exactly what is happening right now. The public service is in a mess, and if I had a child in Barbados looking for a job, I would tell them stay as far as from the public service as possible. And worse yet, stay even further from statutory boards.
Are you a casual of the public service that there are people who now indulge in what the trade unions call greedy work? You know what that term means?
Right.
Greedy work, it's not dirty work, it's greedy work. Greedy work is where you are supposed to answer your phone any time of day, night, bank holiday, whatever. You are supposed to answer and respond to phone calls, emails. That is what is classified as dirty, not greedy work. Your time is not your own. You're always on call. You must respond to things which you have no background to. Otherwise, you get disciplined and what. The system is really imploding or deteriorating or crumbling within a we're not even fully aware of it. But the public service, Barbados cannot have enjoyed its success without a credible professional public service. Could not have. And here we are, busy destroying it for unwanted political gain. How much more than 30 you want? How much more than 30?
Yeah. Well, as you said there's a lot of greed and all kinds of things, going on, and this is why I keep saying that we have to change. We need to change this government. One of the things that we do on here is, we have a lot of discussion, and then there are different projects that come out of the show. And there is a health festival that is happening on Saturday here in Barbados, being put on by people in the diaspora. And that is going to happen at King George V Park. I'm definitely going to be there. That's the main reason that we're not having any event this weekend. I know we had promised on the spur of the moment, Mr. Franklin, that we're going to do we're going to do a roadside parliament at least on Sunday. So we have changed that. So there's no roadside parliament on Sunday. There's no march on Saturday. Okay. We are going to support the diaspora in their event. And then there's some other things that are happening, and there's a clash. There's just clashing of events that's happening. It's a heavy weekend for some of the people who are involved with us. So, and who carry the work. You would imagine that, you want to make sure you have your strong team with you that's going to be able to help you to get the work done. So this weekend we are supporting the health festival, and I don't think this is the newest flyer that is there. There's a flyer, but it's going to be at King George V Park, and it is it's free of cost. And there'll be, I think they have food there on sale. There'll be quite a number of things. Let me just read. There was supposed to be someone coming on, but one of the persons who's coming in from the US, as I told you, these are Bajans, and some of them are just Caribbean people. They're coming in to the country, and they're going to be doing a lot of health checks, discussions, asking any kind of questions that you want to ask. They are going to be available to answer those questions for you at King George V Park. And I believe the person who came up with this is Valerie Hoyt. And Valerie is a Barbadian living in New York. And I believe, she said after she heard about what was happening in Barbados with the healthcare system, she reached out to her friends in the diaspora, and they started to plan this event. And they're now working very, very closely with persons within the Barbadian community, people who are living in Barbados. And I think that is that is very, very wonderful. That is very, very wonderful. And I have a document here that I'm going to be reading from that tells us just some of the activities that will be happening there. The Health and Wellness Festival is United for a Healthier Barbados. Sometimes we say people talk and they don't do anything. Well, these are not just talking. They are doing something. And I used to be in the diaspora as well. So I truly appreciate when I see people in the diaspora reaching back into the country, Mr. Franklin, and doing something positive. And it is by Barbadians in the diaspora and at home. By Barbadians in the diaspora and at home. They're working closely with people in Barbados. They'll be offering all-day health checks. All-day health checks. It's open. I said 9 early. I'm sorry. It's 10 a.m. So if you come 9, I know if I tell you 9, it means that you're going to come at 10. But it opens at 10 a.m. to 5:30, and it's all-day health checks, financial presentations, because even though it's a health festival, but it's a health and wellness festival, and we know that when the finance is not right, there's not much of any wellness going on for a lot of people. So they have financial presentations that's going to happen. Lots of fun and games for children and the entire family. So it's a family event. Get the children out. The park is lovely. King George V Park is a lovely park. It's very big. They can run up and down. A lovely playground is there. There'll be lots of gifts going to be there, giveaways, and I mean, all day, right? This is lots of giveaways that's going to happen. Then there's something called the Seaside Chat. right? And the seaside chat is from 2 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. 2 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. This is all at King George V Park. And what is a seaside chat? The seaside chat is an interactive health and wellness community conversation, which is going to be led by doctors, nurses, and dietitians from the diaspora and Barbados. And I love the idea that the diaspora is working with people in Barbados, okay? And you can bring any of your health related questions can be brought to the King George V Park, to the Health and Wellness Festival. Gifts and giveaways that's going to happen. And now they also had something for the young people, which is an essay competition. All right. So there is an essay competition that they had, and they now have winners of the essay competition. And the winners are going to be announced during the seaside chat. The winners are going to be announced in the seaside chat, right? And I was told today that the leader of the opposition is going to be present. I don't know. By Friday, I guess he will tell us if he's going to be at the seaside chat or wherever. But the diaspora, they've reached out to Mr. Thorne, and Mr. Thorne, I was told by the person who had the idea, the visionary, and the main organizer, that I could announce that Mr. Thorne has confirmed that he will be at the Health and Wellness Festival, and it's the first of its kind at the King George V Park, right here in St. Philip. A stone throw from me. So, I'll be there. I'll be there very, very early. Everybody is welcome. Alvin, come down. I would love to meet you, Alvin. Alvin, come down, man, and let's meet you, Alvin, there. And Mr. Franklin, you're going to be at the Health and Wellness Festival?
I will come in the afternoon. I have some things to do in the morning, but I will try to make it in the afternoon. But I'm not going to anything specific, and I'm not going to get all those tests or anything done. I'm hypochondriac, so I keep my medical checks when I'm confined to a space where they can pump me in something and get me everything back down. But I should be there.
Okay. Let me just see a show of the hands. Anybody thumbs up who's going to be there? Mr. Murray, what do you think of this initiative that's coming from the diaspora, Bajans in the diaspora? Any thoughts on it?
I think it's fulfilling a role which was intended for the diaspora, but has not always been maintained. And a lot depends on the personalities involved in either in abroad and on the Barbados end. But wherever there's an opportunity for people to build relationships where they can trust and relate to each other, it's very supportive. It's a way of giving back. It's a way of also getting reacquainted with the Barbados society that allows so much. I've dealt with some of these opportunities and groups when I lived abroad, but when they come to Barbados, I just want to advise you, Marcy, make sure that they are getting good customs clearance, that customs know that if they bring materials, etc., otherwise materials, equipment, or whatever, otherwise you may get some unexpected delays because people are following the rules or they might be given instructions. So just make sure that they're clear with customs, either at the Barbados end or through the diasporic representative of Barbados, what things they be allowed to bring in, etc., so that they're not last minute hitches and have an impact on the success of the event. But I think they should be fully supported. You can't go wrong by getting to know what your status is and how you should modify your behaviors to get the best health possible. Because being healthy is an ongoing exercise or not. You can't be just healthy for a start and lock it away in a vault. Listen, it's good, and congrats, and I wish everybody all success.
Yes, I believe it's going to be a great success. And I see people putting up hands here that they're going to make it. They're going to try to make it, but I think it's a wonderful gesture. We've been calling for people to do something, and they're doing something, and we want to support them. And knowing them, they would have already checked done all the homework with customs and so on. They're a very thorough group. But nevertheless, I'm sure they'll be listening. I'm not, I'm not the person planning it. So those who are listening, as I said, from the diaspora, that they would be able to. I'm sure that they've done a lot of that. Okay, yeah. So that is wonderful. And what's great is to see some of the is to see the working relationship, or the idea of working with doctors and nurses here in Barbados, and that kind of work and kind of relationships that are forming, and it can only be for the betterment of the patients here, that we're having that. Yes, Mr. Murray.
Yeah, I just want to say that what is obvious but not always seen or commented on is that because of the economic situation in Barbados, some people, and because of the delays and the frustrations going to the public system, the public place, there's some people who prefer to go to a private doctor, but many of them cannot afford it. So this would be an opportunity that if you wanted some checks down, which you cannot afford now, rather than postpone them until you get the money, this would be a chance to go to the fair and get treated by professionals as far as possible and save you money by the same time you get an insight into your current health status, etc. So I'd advise those people who want to do it and take advantage of it. It's free.
Yeah. And let's clarify, because I think it's not even treatment that will be given, but it's going to be information, and just checks, and there will be local doctors on site there, and local medical professionals as well. Okay, so let's just clarify that. That as well. Yes. And somebody, Joel King, is saying, yes, I will be there. Yeah. Tony Paris is reminding us that we need to like and share. That we need to like and share, please. Now, I was supposed to have done on tonight, but he's not going to be able to make it. But we want to kind of switch gears, Mr. Franklin, and Mr. Murray, to talk about this. Okay. To talk about this IMF loan. This is something that is baffling us. That there is an amount, and I'm looking for it. Was it 112 million? I tell you, I don't understand what is happening here. But we have just gotten a drawdown. I don't know if that is to spend, to spend. Oh, Miss McLean is trying to get on as well. It's 100, right? I was correct. 112 million. And because we have won, Barbados has won an approval for its economic management, and the reward for our economic management is a loan, an IMF loan of 112 million. We have won. We won something, Barbados. We won a loan. That's what the newspaper is saying.
Marcia, I get angry when people do this nonsense, and they try to give the impression that the government is doing well. And I had a book on my shelf here, How to Lie with Statistics. It would be good reading for people. I know you can come with some information and skew those information to make you look like you're doing something. Well, let me tell you what is happening. The IMF told the government, you cannot employ any more people. Okay? So the government continues to employ people. But when you're an employer, you have to pay national insurance. And so the government calling you a private contractor, paying you less than normal civil servants who do the same work. And so your salary bill comes down, but your bill for services go up. When in fact, that bill should really be part of your salary bill. And you are now saying to me, oh, we deceive the workers. We put them in great stress and great difficulty, and we are patting ourselves on the back for something like that. You are deceiving and cheating people at the behest of the IMF. Why can't you say to the IMF, look, we have laws that say that we can't do this?
Yes.
Rather than say to them, yes, sir, 3 bags full, and do exactly what they want you to do, even though you acknowledge. I have been in a situation where some of these people come to me complaining that they went to national insurance, and because they said they are self-employed people. National insurance say you are not self-employed, and we cannot take self-employed contributions from you. And the government, national insurance is the government, and this is a government entity that is saying that the government is doing something wrong. Colin Jordan, the minister of religion, an elder in the Seventh-day Adventist Church. That reminds me to keep out of that place, because if we could tolerate people like that in their church, I don't want to be in there. He sat down on brass tacks Sunday and said that the government is no longer doing that. They recognize that they made a mistake and they fixed it. Today, there are still such people working all over the public service. People who work in government departments, who are doing clerical work, they call them private contractors. People who clean the botanical gardens, you call them private contractors. They're not private contractors. The people who are digitizing at archives, they're not public. They're not private contractors. But for one thing about a private contractor is that if you have a private contract, you can bring in your staff to do work for you. Now, these people don't bring their staff. The IMF is asking this government to break its laws. And you will then pat yourself on the back and give yourself a title, but we get some extra money for doing what? For hurting workers? These workers know, bear in mind, that you had to have 500 contributions to get a pension. The government has now taken that up from 500 to 750. But yet still, these people they're not paying contributions for these people that are here. So now they might not get a pension when the time comes. So who are they deceiving, and why are they trying to deceive us? Why the government feel that it has to lie to the public? And I'm not saying tell untruths. I'm not a diplomat, nothing. Ask anybody. You will not find me at the United Nations. They are lying.
Yeah, Council, if I might interject here.
Please.
For many years, Martin will probably corroborate it, because I might have had him during her time. For many years, the international organizations, the World Bank, the IMF, the IADB, have been pressuring Barbados to reduce what they call our entitlement. Right? Vacation leave, sick leave, the cost of bus fares, house rent. They've been trying to bully us for years. They said we were doing far too well for us, a small country, small developing country, and that we were actually enjoying the highest standard of living than people in the United States, because they believe in small. They do not believe in build up your social capital through people. So now that we were able to resist it when we were not in the hands of the IMF. I brought up in a generation, you were part of it too, Castle, where we used to refer to the IMF as the international rate servers. So the last people you want to go to, you kept yourself. Oh, but when you go into their hands, see that you are loved. You are just another object of manipulation and exploitation by them. They make money. It's not a do-good society. It's not a philanthropic body. You go, you get loans, you pay back, and it keeps the business who invest in these institutions to make money. Look at Jamaica. I remember Prime Minister Tom Adams told me around 1981 that Jamaica would never recover. Would never. And this is 43 years later. And Jamaica is still IMF fan. So we are in a long-term arrangement now with IMF. It will go past and maybe affect our grandchildren. We had some short-term arrangements once with Thomas in 91, 81, 81, David Sandy. But no, they are structurally embedded. You listen. The whole thing has been a charade. You got Kevin Greenwich, Dr. Kevin Greenwich, who their product of the IMF school developed, promoted, manufactured by IMF to come and work with you as to how best you can devise an IMF program. Now they accept the IMF. He's an inside man. He knows the inside track. So when they were bragging how especially they got in this other one, it is all to satisfy the IMF because they let it go. So we're not paying the price for that. We are so deeply in the hands of the IMF that we just hope we can write it out, look to pay because they're not doing us any favors. They're not giving us any special concessions.
Glenn, you remember?
Yeah, go ahead.
When they went into this program, they boasted that it was the fastest program ever negotiated with IMF. You remember that?
That's right. Because of Kevin Greenwich.
Yeah, but that's the point.
But I remember
into this program too quickly. But and the thing is, they didn't understand what they were getting into. Look here, the other day you will see now that there's this surcharge thing that they didn't know anything about. And that the one renegotiate. It was there, and they signed it. They signed to that effect. They signed without reading. This is the level of incompetence. You do not sign something that you don't understand.
But Caswell, way back in March 2014, when they left the BAP and they saw how the thinking and the behavior, I warned that the next Minister of Finance should be a trained economist. The Prime Minister is not an economist. She would do what is right by accident.
Yeah.
She cannot cope. She cannot cope with the various theories and pressures. And if she has 10 consults, which one does she believe? If she doesn't get 5 different sets of advice, on what basis, not being schooled in the principles of practical economics, what do you decide? So they're mumbling along and stumbling along because of this. I remember very well, and it's sad for Barbados. I remember very well when Owen became Prime Minister in 1994. Within 48 hours of becoming Prime Minister, he called the IMF headquarters and told them, "You have a representative in Barbados, a man called Fritz Krakow. He used to drive a white Mercedes-Benz parked in front of government headquarters, where under the DLP at that time, he had to approve any expenditure. Or after told him, come, have him out in 48 hours, or I will deport him because we know what we have to do and we can do it ourselves." When Owen went to the IMF in 1981 to negotiate for Barbados, a one man thing to negotiate for Barbados, he sat down, both him and Prime Minister after understood. He wrote out the requirements for the IMF on the back of a napkin at breakfast time. Because Prime Minister Thomas, who's not only a lawyer, but had a master's in politics, philosophy, and economics, he had begun to take the corrective action early because he knew what to do. We don't have to go up there and devise a way to get things get worse. We are because we do not have people with the confidence. And even some of the economists around, see, there's a difference between there's economists and the econometrics where you depend a lot on statistics and figures, but then they're developmental economy. You have to know how it impacts society. So you don't just go for growth, you go for development. Most of the people around the Prime Minister there are econometricians who know the figures, can calculate this, but they do not understand, cannot manage the processes in the society to make sure there's development, there's enhancement, there's a better life for Barbados. That's why we are stumbling along, because people at the top do not know what they're doing. I am not an economist, and I'm saying neither is the Prime Minister.
Right. We need people who know what they're doing. Miss McLean has joined us. Miss McLean has joined us. Good night, Miss McLean. Good night, Miss McLean.
Hello. Sorry that you can't see me. Casual, I tell I don't have all my Marcia show face tonight, so.
Well, it's an honor just to hear your voice.
Have that Maxine McLean brain.
Thank you very much. And I must very quickly before I disagree with something Glenn says. You do not have to be an economist but you need to understand economics and understand certain things. Because I'll tell you, if we had to rely on economists, the numbers that are being generated by the system are not many. But if you see, there are people who have a level of understanding of issues that they can draw a distinction between good advice and bad advice. What happens is when you can't do that and then you don't have a clue, then you have a situation similar to what you're seeing. But I also believe that Marcia, let me say to our viewers, good evening. It's nice to be here. I've been watching. I've been trying to be obedient. And just so that, as I told Marcia the other night, some people were expressing some concern. I was less of being under the weather and more being obedient. As I said, I'm looking at the world through new eyes. I have a new worldview, a new outlook on things. And praise God, my 2 surgeries in the last month were successful, and I am seeing. So I'm trying to be obedient, But where I'm going to jump in, Marcy, is to talk about 2 things I believe which kind of triggered some of this discussion. Recently, we heard of additional monies being made available to us from the IMF. And they are saying that we have met the conditions. Basically, when countries run into such certain kinds of difficulties, they go to the IMF as a financier, but that money comes with conditions. Hi, Tironi. Good to see you. That money comes with conditions. One of those conditions is that you put together a policy, either shaped in large measure by the IMF. We've heard about the BERT program, and Glenn touched on something, and I really would like Dr. Greenidge to tell us exactly what was his relationship with the government of Barbados for the couple of years that he was here immediately before becoming governor, because the traditional arrangement of the IMF, you do not assign nationals to a country. So while he came here, I suppose he was not the traditional IMF officer assigned to a jurisdiction. He came home as a Barbadian.
Yeah.
Whether he was on secondment and paid for by, on leave, and those are the kinds of things but we know that he would have been bringing, as Glenn said, the thinking of the IMF and all of that. And I am not so sure that this so-called homegrown is as homegrown as they would like to make us believe. But I'm not going to belabor that point. The critical thing is that monies are made available to countries under specific conditions and with certain terms in place. In other words, certain kinds of targets. And a lot of those targets may not necessarily, Caswell was talking about what we do in terms of investment, let's say in education, the absence of user fees in certain areas might become an imposition. So there's certain models that apply. And the fact that we are getting more money and we are meeting those conditions, it would be good to hear exactly what, and you can go and read the reports because they do their consultations and the reports are available. What worries me, though, is that while we are meeting the targets that allow us to access more money, are we putting in place and achieving targets that will allow us to earn the foreign exchange to repay these loans? Because one of the interesting things is that they have these moratoria on loans, so there's not immediate payback, which should help us. But if we are not doing the things to help us generate foreign exchange, because remember, we have to pay, we don't pay back in Belgian dollars, we pay back in hard currency. And I mean, as much as we've seen some pickup with tourism, the nature of our economy is still that we stand in pretty much on one leg. And contrary to what I would hope and what many of us would see, we haven't increased. In fact, I was talking to a gentleman recently who's been doing some very serious analysis. And maybe one day I would either have him share that or ask him to share some that I can in turn share. But a critical point that he made to me was that if you look at our export figures, let's say over the last 40 years, the last 4 decades or so, the amounts haven't increased. So in essence, we haven't grown our exports significantly. We haven't diversified. We haven't engaged in a lot of import substitution when it comes, for example, to the tourism sector. So at the end of the day, it is good to hear about more money, but that more money is more debt. And the question is, as the burden of repayment becomes greater and greater, what is the corresponding capacity to earn the foreign exchange to repay? Now, there was another issue that was put on the table, and I was trying to get some details, because while the IMF was lauding Barbados for its its ability to meet the targets that because those negotiated targets are one part of the conditions of accessing funds. And while we are meeting that, there's an area that bothers me, because it is something that I know when I was part of government that I saw firsthand, something we inherited, and that would have been a number of projects to be financed by the Inter-American Development Bank. Now, the Inter-American Development Bank either lends or guarantees loans to countries for a number of purposes. But in order to access those funds, a couple of things have to happen. You actually pay a commitment, what I would call commitment fees. I'm trying to remember that's the exact term they use. They may use that in another banking sector, but there are fees that you pay once you have signed off on a loan and so on. And the expectation is that once you've had a loan approved, that you are in a position to meet what I think the correct term is conditions precedent. In other words, I want to borrow $100 million to engage in a major infrastructural project or housing project. And there are a number of things that must be in place in order for me to be able to access that money and utilize it. What the IDB has indicated, contrary to the conditions that we're meeting in relation to IDB, that we are not, let me put it this way very bluntly and maybe crudely, we are not meeting the IDB's conditions. In other words, projects they complain are not properly fleshed out.
But Ms. McLean, they said we won it. They said we won, and
what?
We won a loan, and Alvin is saying that the reason we won the loan, Alvin, who says he's a real supporter of this government. Alvin is explaining, and he says the reason we won it is because we've been paying our debts, and they said.
Yeah, but understand, Marcy, I'm talking about 2 different sets of funding. So in other words, as I say, in relation, because Dale is now speaking about the IMF. As I said, the IMF provides financial support to economy, its member states that are challenged financially. Let me put it that way, that are having some challenges. In order to access that money from the IMF, they are saying, listen, we will make this available to you, but you have to set out in a clear program, and that is covered in what is called, I think, letters of intent, as well as what a more detailed document called a memorandum of understanding. So in other words, the government will say, listen, this is our intention. We are going to restructure the public sector. We're gonna cut the amount of monies transferred to statutory corporations. So for example, they may impose a tax and say, instead of taking taxes from the consolidated fund, we're going to impose a tax on visitors, and that money goes to the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc., for example, instead of taxpayers' dollars going, general taxpayers' dollars from VAT and land tax and whatever else. So they set out a program, a set of policy initiatives. For example, that's where, for example, if you read the details of the BERT program, you might find that there's a reduction in monies, as I said, transfers to state corporations. That is why you heard about continued plans for restructuring and so on. And so the IMF will look at that and say, yes, we like your program. You're reducing spending on social services. You're imposing user fees for X, Y, or Z services and so on. And that we think is the way to go. And as you look to put that in place, we are going to give you financial support. They will come in every year as members. There's this visit from the IMF where they come in and they review the economies of member states. And if you are actually engaged in a program with them, they will look to see the extent to which you have achieved what you say you're planning to achieve.
Yeah.
And so that is it. And I've said that is the case. They say that we have met that, and therefore we are entitled, based on the monies available to them, that we will make that money available to you. I said that's the one side. On the other side, because we have entered into an arrangement with the IMF, you hear about the other multilateral entities giving what are sometimes described as policy-based loans, etc. So in other words, the IMF says Barbados is okay to go. They have put this program of streamlining their statutory corporations in place. They're doing ABC and whatever else. They're charging more bus fares. They're doing whatever the case may be. And so we are comfortable. The IDB says, okay, we like what you're doing with the IMF, and as a member state, you also can look to us for financing. Now, the challenge comes, as I said, on the one hand, everything seems hunky-dory. Let me not use that word. Everything seems to be going according to plan with the IMF. The IDB, on the other hand, has said, look, we have made money available to you, but we have a problem with y'all. You are not executing these projects as you ought to. And when we start to do our reviews, because they do country reviews or country assessments, etc., and we look back, and I would say, let us go back. If you go back to 2001 to I'm trying to think of the year. I was actually doing some reading earlier, but I had an all-day session, so I had to curtail that. But when you go back and you do, and I promised Marcia to go through them and perhaps give a comprehensive thing of the IDB. So the IDB is saying is we have been arranging to lend you money, but the projects are not flowing in the way that we want them to, that you say they will flow, or that we anticipate or expect they will flow. So in essence, you've gotten money, you've paid the commitment fees, because once you agree to borrow, you have to service, you have to pay, because you're not getting free money. So one element of cost is the commitment fees. And so you're paying commitment fees, but you're not utilizing the money because your project, and these are the kinds of explanations given by the IDB, have not been properly fleshed out. You do not have the structures in place to implement those projects, but you have borrowed a lot of money. If you recall, and so in essence, what the IDB is saying is that, we anticipated that by making this money available to you, that we would have seen the drawdown and project execution done in a manner that's more efficient and effective than what we are seeing. So in essence, the question I would ask the government, how much money have you borrowed from the IDB? And you can go back. Let me say I would go back from the year 2000 so that it includes successive administrations. How much money have we borrowed? Of that money, how many projects were we able as a country to undertake efficiently and effectively? What were the main problems? Because as I can tell you, I recall seeing some projects that were stalled because of the failure to meet what are called certain conditions precedent to getting access and delivering on those projects. So it really says to me that it sounds good to be able to point to X million dollars borrowed from the IDB for project A, Y million dollars borrowed for project B, but then we have a list of planned projects, but stalled execution. because at the end of the day, we're not getting the delivery, we're not getting the benefits of what the project entails, the actual outcomes of the project, the jobs that flow from that, whatever the case may be. And so I can tell you that that continues to be a vexing thing for officials at the IDP, because they themselves need to be able to say to their boards of governor, their governors and so on, their directors, we have lent X amount of money to countries within CARICOM, or in this case in Barbados, and here are the beautiful images to show that these projects have been executed and the citizens are enjoying them. The other problem comes that if we're not executing on a timely basis,
right,
what about the cost that we are incurring to just sit on the money that has been allocated to us? So I think that what we're really hearing is that we seem to be biting off more than we can chew in certain quarters. And as I was saying, if you recall, I made a reference, I think at least twice on this program, to funding that has been provided by the Chinese. And I made reference to a proposal that I would have sat with some colleagues of mine and made to officials of the government of China, where unlike what they have this huge set of money that they lend for infrastructure projects, but their contemplation is that they will lend you a significant lump sum of money. For example, we had a whole set of money borrowed for work on the East Coast roads, etc. And my question is, was it the best thing to do, especially when we have all these other loans, to agree to one big chunk of money and have it there, unless I am clear how it is disbursed, that you find yourself incurring interest charges on money that you are not utilizing speedily? And the last comment I will make before I give you the opportunity to respond to what I've said is that there was a suggestion that we seem not to know, and when I say we, I mean the Prime Minister, Minister of Finance, same person, the Minister in the Ministry of Finance, and all the technocrats that informed them, including the Governor of the Central Bank who worked at the IMF. I do not buy the notion that some additional charges that we've heard about recently came as a surprise. If that is the case, I would say to dear Dr. Greenidge, my dear brother, who was one of your mentors, must be turning in his grave, because he would not expect that of you. And I say that because Dr. Greenidge knows that I know that he worked very closely with my late brother. My brother was very proud of him as a young economist, and they did a lot of modeling and research together and so on, econometrics and whatever else, just before my brother died. But I am saying that what I fear took place, and they can, if this took place, this is very bad. If they didn't know, that is even worse. But if what I fear took place was that they did not want to tell us up front the full cost, because what the Prime Minister sold Barbados on was we were getting this concessionary financing. Such a fish. You understand? We were getting this concessionary financing. Then they turned around and said, oh shoot, you know what? This concessionary rate is not over the life of the loan. It is for a fixed period, and rates will go up. And then they come back in another drip, the speedier with they feed you with a long spoon.
Yeah.
So they come back with another little bit of medicine and say, oh shoot, you know what? In addition to the fact that there's a variable rate and it's going to go up because this rate is only guaranteed for a certain period of time, there are these additional charges. Those things are known. And if they are not known to persons of the caliber of the governor of the central bank, who would at some point have been looking at these, not at that level, but as an advisor and a long-standing employee of the IMF, those things are known or should be known to Mr. Ian Carrington, who I think is the DFE. I think that's the title, Caswell, Director of Economics and or whatever it is.
He's the Director of Finance.
Right. They call it the DFE. He is supposed to be one of the gurus advising the Prime Minister. You would tell me that these people don't know these things?
But I can vote for Ian. He does not know.
Okay, well, that's frightening. But then there's Minister Strawn. Did he have sight of the contract? Marcia, I stand by my position that they knew and they were feeding us bits and pieces of information.
Wow.
But if I may support Maxine with that, because in my experience, I believe Maxine will have had some of the experiences. Institutions, multinational corporations, multicultural, IADB, they do not like to embarrass host governments. They will not come out and say, we say that they would have known that this, they would take the licks and get the blame as they did. Remember the survey, the IADB survey?
Yes.
Yeah.
The IADB took a fall for the government by saying that they did not what carried the instruction, did not understand it clearly. And yeah, they took the fall for they do it. Because it's an incestuous relationship between all these multilateral corporations. IADB, World, they all work together, they all have similar policies, they all reinforce each other. And one thing I would like to know, Maxine, I'd like to hear you talk about this. Invariably, when we get these loans or these project loans from international institutions or countries, part of the hidden cost is the fact that lots of the expertise, the consultancy, the equipment come from those host countries. You have to employ, if not for the same country, from the same hemisphere. So in truth, in fact, they're getting both the repayment of the loan and interest plus work for their persons that they're getting double, they're benefiting doubly or triply at
Wow.
the expense
That
of the
is
country.
correct.
That's so it is no giveaway. And the other thing I noted talk about loans. The Afro import bank that was supposed to be giving this loan to the for the World Cup cricket, the $50 million. It is for 7 years, 7.5%. This idea that our brothers from Africa will come down here and do this great deal for help, 7.5%, which is probably about the norm or less higher than the average. So
These are business people. Glenn, you are so correct. These are business people. You see, unfortunately, as a very well respected one, my colleagues used to always say to me, the truth don't get stale, but they could try to hide it for a while. And I think that oftentimes and our prime minister, things that are considered a strength are often when flipped. And I tell my strategy students this are often weaknesses. The prime minister speaks very well. She likes to speak off the cuff, I suppose is the way I could describe it. Was it extemporaneously, Glenn, as the word?
Yeah, that's a big word for
That's a big word.
extemporaneously.
So you say all these things, but before you think about, but after you said it and you start to analyze it, or some people start to analyze it, you recognize that they don't make sense. For example, the African Exempt Bank, the Exempt Bank, these people have shareholders. They're
Right,
in business for making money.
right.
And what they may tell you is that we may be able to make money available to you where you might not get it elsewhere, or for certain kind of projects which you may not get financed, but they are not doing you any favor. So we hear all of these promises. I mean, words sound good, but I always tell people, let me step back and digest these things, analyze them, flip them on their head, and so on. So that is exactly the same thing. The details. They say the devil, or maybe some people
The
don't like
devil's in the details, yeah.
the
In
details.
the
That's where,
details. Let's hear from Mr. Franklin, and then we have to we have another 15 minutes, and we want to look at this peace program because
Oh yeah.
Corrine is saying that that Mr. Thorne is not telling the truth. But let's hear Mr. Franklin on this issue before we close this up. Thank you.
Marcia, we have been deceived by this government and this nonsense with the IMF. The IMF, if you look, Tom Adams and every prime minister, I can't speak for Al-Bari, I don't know much about him and his dealings with the IMF, but every prime minister except for Brice St. John, because he didn't last very long. Every prime minister of Barbados, from then till now, and every year from then till now, resisted the IMF demands that we charge user fees at the hospital, bus fares, do all of these fancy things because they said our standards of living was too high. And the people that contribute to the IMF that we borrow their money, our standard of living. So the IMF was decided that Barbados' standard of living must come down. They must make us poor. And this lady who pretends to care about people bought into that, but she has insulated her friends and family from this poverty, and is pushing everybody headlong into it. I keep telling people all the time, people say she tried to build a legacy. Hitler had a legacy too. So legacies don't always have to be positive. But the IMF is helping to destroy Barbados. And every other leader said no. But she's not a leader.
Yeah.
Maxine talk about she speaking extemporaneously. A friend of mine used to call it bull fecal matter. Because that is when you listen to what she says, it amounts to that. I can't call, I could say fecal, but I wouldn't call the other word for fecal on the program. So she is out of her depth. Glenn was saying she's not an economist and she only trained for, but I don't know anything that she's trained in. And that's the problem. All she is good at is bluffing. And until Barbadians wake up and realize that we were being led down a garden path and we got to turn around and come back, the sooner the better.
Yeah.
Marcia, by the way, I want to be able to read something to you because one of the people from welfare responded to me. But so it's not long, but I want to share it with you.
Yes. Thank you. No, go ahead, and then I will talk about just share that, and then I talk about the peace program.
I also represent people like welfare department.
Yes.
So one of them said, "Good evening, Mr. Franklin. This is Mr. X. I'm not calling the name from welfare. Please be mindful of the following bits of information. Going digital is not mandatory. We will be starting with a parallel system, checks and digital payments. People who cannot who cannot accommodate the digital transition have been asked to indicate this on their form when they return it. That's point one. Point two, right now, some coolie men, and she put it in inverted commas, charge clients up to $50 to change both checks before check date. And some even make them buy something as well. These unfair practices will be eliminated with the digital deposits to the client's bank account. 3, no bank will charge welfare clients the same fees as they do their regular customers. This has already been negotiated and agreed. So the banks will not be making money off welfare clients through these accounts. So clients are not being asked to open accounts to make the banks richer. Be assured there will be provisions for clients who cannot work with a bank or a credit union account.
Okay.
5, the recommendations to clients to start using their new Trident ID card or to get theirs if they haven't done so as yet is for their own protection. Fraud is embarrassingly easy with the laminated ID cards. All these changes are intended to protect our beneficiaries and their money. This is from one of my members at the welfare department who's listening to the program, and that is what they've sent to us.
Right.
So that's the
if I can just say something, the person who called me today said just to balance it out that they called the welfare department, and what they were told was that while the Trident ID is not mandatory, the account is. That is the only way that they can be paid. So I think what they need to do is to be clear in their communication. Even the second part of this document is basically saying if you are going, it says here, if you require an account to benefit from the new payment system, the welfare department will help you to acquire an account and debit card through a banking institution, which is what you're explaining, that there wouldn't be any additional charge, because it says here No fees will be charged to you for assisting in completing this service. But when you read this entire letter, Mr. Franklin, it does not. There are 1 to 4 paragraphs. I can't read all of it now. We did it earlier. It really does not. It's not very clear. What this worker is saying to you is not very clear in the communication that came from the welfare department on May 13th, 2024. So they would need to be clearer with their clients, because anybody who would have read this would have thought that they have to have those a bank account in place. It did say that you would not be charged, no fees will be charged to you for assisting in completing this service. So you would assume that they're not going to charge you for the thing. So I just believe that there needs to, if they could communicate what you have just read to the clients, that would be great.
Yeah, I agree, but I have to put this side because I'm not going to not let the other side be
correct
on this program. So if the other side comes in, fortunately,
yes,
we have some person who is listening to us and they put their views and I will share them.
yeah, no, and also this is a client saying Automotive Parts is saying that they're asked for their TAMIS number. The client the person who spoke to me today did say that they will also have to have a TAMIS number. So I don't know. I did not see the TAMIS number in this letter.
No.
Automotive Art.
No, it
I
doesn't
didn't
have.
see it in here. Okay, I didn't, not in this letter that I have. So I don't know if you have a letter that says a TAMIS number, Automotive Parts, you have my number. You can always message me and take a copy of it and message me. Okay, so let's and let it be clear. Okay, so the thing with this explaining it, somebody said Mr. Humphrey was on, it's that, come on guys, you're sent out a circular, you sent out a letter. Please make everything clear to people. This is not clear. This is not saying what Mr. Franklin has read. And that's the problem with this administration. That's part of the mismanagement, the lack of communication, the rolling out of programs. Nothing is rolled out properly because it's not done well. We do not take the time to explain to people why you have to be, if you had it written and in point form as this person did it, you think people would be confused? No. Yeah. So anyway, back to the this Corey Lane. So Corey Lane said the article spoke about what Mr. Thorne said at the roadside parliament, okay? At the roadside parliament. And he says that it is not so. There's no missing monies, and that what Mr. Thorne is saying is not true, right? So I wanted to bring that up on the program because I had heard you, Mr. Franklin, you were echoing what I heard Mr. Thorne saying on Sunday. So I'm not sure. Do you have any more information on this?
Arcia, Corey is, when I talk about language statistics, he is twisting the information to give the impression that nothing wrong went on.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yes, the man was paid this money. I understand you went to another agency, you got another $50,000 too. But that's another thing that has to be investigated as well. But he had no right with it. And that's the point that they are trying to miss. They don't have the guy who actually received the money and supposed to have been using it for a program to help prisoner ex-cons, had no such authority in law, common sense, or decency. Tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock, I will be representing 2 prison officers who have been charged for associating with prisoners, because prisoners turned up at a party that they had put on. It was a paid event. You bought the tickets on the internet, and some ex-prisoners saw the thing, and they bought tickets. They turn up there, and they are charged with an offense for which they can lose their jobs. Now, how can you ask a senior prison officer to be associated with prisoners outside of prison and give him money to do so? So it is not a question of that he stole the money. He got it under circumstances where he should not have had it. The law does not allow him. As a matter of fact, what he's purporting to do could cause him to be dismissed from the public service. And I remember reading this thing when they asked Mr. Lane. He said that he can't speak on it. That's for the Attorney General. He's speaking on it now. What has changed? He has become Attorney General?
Caswell?
Yes, please, go ahead.
I might be able to help you with that. He's not, he would say, check with the Attorney General. The Attorney General will check with him, because from the very outset, and this is one of the few things that I've been able to commend the Attorney General Marshall for in recent times. He bluntly refused to allow his department to be contaminated with the peace program by having people work through his ministry and offices and system and whatnot, dealing with the characters of the person involved. That is why, after he refused to have anything to do with it, even he refused at one time, for what I'm told, he never even communicated with Minister Lane at all, refused to. Because he said he was going to have no part of that. It was wrong, he was not supportive of it. That is why Minister Lane ended up reporting to the Prime Minister, according to my information, which has been right so far.
Now, listen to this. When contacted, Corey said, Attorney General De Marshall stated, I will not be discussing the ministry's internal business. While Lane said, it's not for me to comment. It's really for the Attorney General. I have been instructed to defer these matters to him from now on. But yet still, from now on was only 24 hours. You know what I mean? I can't trust these people's behavior. He didn't want to speak on it because it looks bad. It smells bad. It is bad. Now, when you discover that this prison officer had already been involved in shady business in the prison, and but they refused to prosecute him because it was not prison money, but money from the Prison Officers Association some years ago. And then he got promoted. So they knew that he had this propensity to to get involved with people's money, not legally either. All right, but he's gone away with it more than once, and he's a serial fellow. He gets involved in these things a lot. He just got a wheelchair for a relative from the prison fellowship. The person wasn't in prison. Apparently, it was his girlfriend or something like that.
But Castle, where are the controls? Where are the rules? Where are those things don't exist anymore? How we get money knocking, the taxpayers knocking about the place. So
this money comes from the ministry, okay? So the permanent secretary has to approve. All right, because the minister cannot approve a penny.
But let me tell you something. Might I remind these permanent secretaries, unless the law has changed, one of the things that Prime Minister Arthur did in order to tidy up finances and try to, as much as cut down corruption, he instituted a surcharge.
Yeah, it could be surcharge
that applied to the minister and the public officers. In other words, the money that you can be charged to repay it or something. But that doesn't seem to exist anymore. I mean, it's amazing.
But who's going to surcharge you? Ian Carrington, who was the first person appointed and promoted under this administration. he was the fellow who attended all the meetings with Randall and all kind of stuff, you know, about the meetings of the government. And then surprisingly, he becomes a guru and appointed the director of finance. One of the first acts this prime minister did. I have my suspicions, but I cannot voice them because I have no proof.
Yeah.
But he is the person that would have to surcharge you. He is the same person who said on the radio that it would be a crime that to take up the nurses' money from their account. He said it's a crime. And what he was talking
I
was
heard
rubbish.
that.
And then he said rubbish, not rubbish. You don't think too good. And then when we played the voice note from the bank in Jamaica, the back office, people in Jamaica, he has not come back and said anything after that because he's admitted committing a crime.
Wow.
When they jerk their hands in the nurses' money. So
allegedly,
no. They actually went. The nurses' money went on the banks, and they call the bank and tell them, and the answering credit unions, take off that money, want it back. You can't do that. That happened. None alleged nothing. That happened.
Yeah, but there's a WhatsApp note about this this issue here with the peace program, and someone who had heard Mr. Thorne speak on it, and as I said, I would have heard Mr. Franklin over a period of time, and I just want to read a bit of the note here, and it says. It says here, Rob Thorne reported the truth about the abuse of public funds through the National Peace Program. Honest Barbadians would choose Ralph Thorne easily over Coral Lane when it comes to speaking the truth. The newspaper report indicated that the person who received the $150,000 is known. Hence, Coral Lane is correct that the money is not missing since it was not stolen in the traditional way via theft. What the newspaper report suggested is that the sum of that money was misappropriated since the officer receiving the money cannot account for $95,000 of the money. A number of concerns arise from the story. First, were any rules breached in releasing funds to the prison officer who works with inmates as a government employee? If the answer is yes, which officers in the Attorney General's office will be held responsible for illegitimate release of the funds? Were these officers coerced by the high authority to release the funds in this manner? Second, according to the story, $95,000 cannot be accounted for. Will the hapless taxpayers be comforted that this financial abuse will attract the attention of the Barbados Police Service for a proper investigation to be undertaken? Or will this uncovered financial abuse be just another scandal, which is normal within the administration? And it goes on. But I thought that it is important to say that. I think it's important to read that, and I read it this morning. To read that. Well, it is 10:03 and we've come to the end of our program. I want to remind everybody that this week we are supporting the health fair, the Health and Wellness Festival. I need to call it by the right name, which is going to be at King George V Park. There is no march. No march is on this week. We are going to support them. This has been done by Valerie Hoyt, who is from the diaspora. And so we are going to support them. We're not going to be holding a march. I was told by Ms. Hoyt that the leader of the opposition will be present. At this event. I don't know the time frame that he'll be there. However, this event is going to be from 10 a.m. right? From 10 a.m. It's going to be from 10 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. and it is going to be Saturday, May 25th. All day health checks. There'll be financial presentations, fun and games for the children and entire family. Please bring everybody out. Lots of food will be on sale. Lots of gifts and giveaways. There's a special session which is the seaside chat. I am looking forward to that. I love the very name of that, from 2 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. And what is a seaside chat? It's an interactive health and wellness community conversation led by doctors, nurses, and dietitians from the diaspora and from Barbados. Attendees can bring their health related questions. Again, lots of gifts and giveaways. And there was an essay competition for the children of Barbados. And so the winners for the festival essay competition will be announced during the seaside chat, and there are lots of prizes for the winners. I love the fact that they are, bringing the children in as well. So this weekend we do not have a march, and we do not have a roadside parliament as we had announced the other night. Could you send that far and wide for us, please? No roadside parliament. Where you will see the flyers come out on when the roadside parliament will be held. I know for sure on June 1st, we are looking at doing another march and having our, meeting in the square. June 1st, actually, Mr. Franklin, is when is the day Mr. Barrow died, June 1st, 1987. And yes, and so we will be, it's our 12 o'clock in the Independence Square will be kind of like a memorial, memoriam for him as well. In the square, in Independence Square. You'll see more come out about that. So the next time that we are going to physically meet is going to be June 1st. We're going to keep talking about it, so you don't go down to Hastings Rock on Sunday. Do not go down. There's no march. We are going to going to King George V Park. Okay. Let me just go thank the panelists for being on tonight. Sorry that Kimar could not be on tonight. Kimar's show will be on tomorrow. Alternate Views will be on tomorrow. He was not able to be on tonight. Let me just go to Mr. Murray. Mr. Murray, can you give us your final thoughts before we close? Thank you.
Well, thank you for making me part of such a stimulating and highly varied conversation tonight. I quite enjoyed it, and I want to urge you to enjoy your off days. I did think that you become such an institution in the country where you can afford to have off days, but enjoy your off days while engaging in your other activities, and keep the work up, and keep overcoming the frustrations that they throw your way. Good luck.
Yes, thank you. Miss McLean?
Yeah, well, it's good to be on the show again. I've been part of the audience for the last several days.
It's good to have you again.
Thank you very much. I think that there's so much that we need to continue to flag. But I also am looking forward to talking about some of the things that we need to do as part of the community, because a lot is not happening and people need to use their skills and their resources. So hopefully we can factor in some of that as we go along.
Yes, thank you so much. Yes, looking forward. This health and wellness festival, this is something positive that is, and this is wonderful. And there are other things that that will come up as well. So like you, I'm looking forward to that. It's good to see you again, Miss. Well, not really see you, to hear you, Miss McLean. It's a real pleasure. Again, before Mr. Franklin speaks, remember that tomorrow is Alternate Views, and I apologize for Kimar not being here tonight. Go ahead, Mr. Franklin.
Okay, I'm grateful that Maxine is back. I'm happy. I know she will know that her eyes are fixed. She will see how really good looking I am. Yeah. Anyhow,
I can see clearly now.
I have a message for you. Somebody just sent me a note on WhatsApp that says, make sure to drop it to Mr. Murray that Sandra Osborne is the chairman of the BRA board, because you'd asked that earlier, so somebody sent it off. And you see, we have an interactive audience in here. See, this is the good thing about this show. People will help you when you don't know, and I like it. And people,
I just like on the mention that name, Castle. I just hope she's the daughter of Sir Neville Osborne,
Yeah.
one of the finest public servants we ever had. And I hope that she, in that role, is living to his standards and professionalism order, and not sucking to anything untowardly and do any
no, well, I'm
misleading
sorry.
name.
I'm sorry. That ship has sailed.
Oh, Jesus, Lord have
That ship
mercy.
has sailed.
All right, guys, we have to close up. We're closing up. We're closing up.
Yeah,
So
anyhow, okay. Well, anyhow, I just want to say good night to everybody and thank you for having me again. It has been a pleasure. I appreciate it. And trust me when I tell you, people ask me if we don't have anything better to do. And the answer is that is no. So
wonderful. Well, we have
Yes, sir.
343 likes, Mr. Franklin. So as we look for the song, we're getting ready. You want us to play your song. So as we're getting ready to play the pretending song, we ask you to like the show. Like the show, 343. We know we can get to 500. We can. All right. So everybody like it up. Like it up.
yeah,
Dave,
because
thank
we
you,
have on
Dave, for doing
YouTube.
a great job.
Yeah, somebody just knocked up. We had 1,192, and then it just down to 1,600. But he likes the 351 now, so we're going.
Yes, yes. Okay, so guys, so let's have our song and
That maths nor English, 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 English. Pretending to be good, I pretending to be good, just pretending to be good. I pretending to be good, I just pretending to care about people. 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 Pretending, and I'm pretending to be good at maths nor English. I just pretending to care about people. And I'm pretending to be good at maths nor English. I just pretending to care about people. I'm pretending to be good. And I'm pretending to be good at maths nor English. I just pretending to care about people. And I'm pretending to be good at maths nor English. I just pretending to care about people.
good night, everybody. See you
Yeah,
on Friday. See you all on
yeah.
Friday. Love you all. Thank you so much, such a wonderful panel. Thank you to everybody. You've been a wonderful audience, and the comments are fantastic. Everybody working together, and that's wonderful. Everybody, God bless you. See you on Friday. Bye bye.